What's up, everybody? Back at it again with a live stream for you. Not a ton of shit going on today, which is why Gavin and I are going to be investigating if the CIA really did kill a miscellaneous TikToker. We're going to get to the bottom of it. Now, before the headline police come in, we haven't confirmed or denied the reality of this story before we plow right in. We've also got some more news to cover. Katie Porter running for Senate, running for the seat currently held by Dianne Feinstein, perhaps the most senile senator in Congress or in all of American politics, and that's just because she's refused to retire and refused to make way for anyone to come and actually lead the people of California with relevant new ideas. So that'll be interesting. Will she decide to run again against a real challenger, a certified challenger like Katie Porter, who, for all intents and purposes, I imagine is running a corporate freak candidacy, which would be,
Katie?
Yeah.
Yeah, she is running. She's not taking any corporate PAC money. She said, I don't want it in her ad announcing her candidacy. So, yeah, I'm super, super excited about that. I'm excited to break it down, too, because she's a pretty unique Democrat. Not perfect. I think she might have endorsed Elizabeth Warren. Is that correct? Not Bernie, but
that sounds right.
Yeah, which is a real bummer, right? Because, but then again, I think she actually studied under Elizabeth Warren at like Harvard Law or something like that. So I guess that would make it a little bit more understandable. That personal connection, although still no excuse.
She endorsed her before Iowa, I believe, is what I'm looking at on this. So,
lame.
Yeah, lame. And then it looks like Diamond and Silk, passed away from COVID-19 related complications. If you're not familiar with Diamond and Silk, I'd kind of forgotten about them as a unit on the internet, but they were very, very big in the anti-COVID mandate worldosphere. So, obviously it's sad whenever anybody passes away due to rampant COVID misinformation, but, this is one of those examples of somebody who was parroting a lot of misinformation. And then, unfortunately that misinformation, played a real role in costing them their lives. So, we'll get into that as well, and the politics of all of that. But yeah, I guess we'll also kickstart this sumbitch with a shout out to our lovely patrons, those dear folks that keep the lights on at the Casa del Vanguard, that keep this show sustainable so that we can come at you guys pretty much every day whenever we want to, whenever you guys want us to. So shout out to all the Vanguardians, super Vanguardians, comrades. You're all comrades to us. But if you want to support the show a little bit financially, the link's in the description. Really appreciate all that. And thank you for the birthday wishes.
Yeah, happy birthday to Zach. 25 years of age.
Yeah, it's a real bummer. Yeah, I'm 25. We're still the same age. Well, I mean, I was the same age as you until today, but fucking, I don't know. Now I can't stop thinking about how I'm halfway to 50 and all these things. Like you think
halfway
about
done with your 20s.
Yeah, dude. And on top of that, you think about like how much famous people you admire had accomplished by the time they hit this like landmark in their lives. Like David Foster Wallace had already published his first like best-selling novel, The Broom of the System. How many filmmakers were working on
Orson Welles made Citizen Kane at 25.
I was just about to say Orson Welles made Citizen Kane. So yeah, there's a lot of pressure on your 25th year. I already missed my Clerks year. I'm not making a masterpiece on my 24th year. Fuck it. Didn't make that Kevin Smith landmark. You know what I mean? So all those kinds of things were weighing on me. Up until recently, I was thinking about like how impressive Andrew Callahan's career was for somebody who was about our age until that fucking shit show went down. And then it was like, nobody wants anything to do with that guy now. For obvious reasons, if you've been on the internet and not under a rock, we don't really have to litigate it. It seems like that guy was a real perv and a real creep and like an actual sex pest. So that sucks because I really did like Channel 5 and I imagine that's going to end soon. I'm not sad that it's like, he's having consequences. I just mean like it's sad that this whole thing came out that way.
Oh, it's a real bummer. Yeah. And when I told you about that yesterday on stream, because you brought up Channel 5 and I was like, I don't know if you heard about it, but there's some, shady shit going around. I didn't even realize the extent of the allegations against this man. He seems like a real monster, allegedly. So that's quite a bummer. Not only because, it's horrible that any woman or any person would have those experiences, but also just because, he seemed like a great guy, right? Great content, real talent. You never know who's a fucking piece of shit, right? You never know who's just a fucking creep.
Yeah, that's what's insane. And I also, I mean, I'd heard some rumblings about this yesterday when you mentioned it, and I heard that what I understood, and I guess we'll just get into this a little bit. The accusations are bad guys, that he's doing that whole like creep thing, get younger women drunk until they're about to pass out, and then like coerce them into having sex with you, like very, very bad, nefarious behavior, like bad shit, like like rightfully, like nobody wants to be around you if you've done that kind of thing. What I'd thought was beforehand, again, not the kind of guy you'd want to be around, but I just thought that he was like one of those nerd like bros that was like begging women for sex, like, oh, like I have clout on the internet, like please have sex with me, kind of like, incessant like badgering, which was not cool and is lame, but is more like just like, oh, what a creep. And this is more like, oh, what a criminal creep, right? So
Yeah.
Andrew Callahan, popular host of All Gas No Breaks and Channel 5, accused of sexual misconduct. 2 women have come forward on TikTok to accuse the This Place Rules filmmaker of pressuring them into sexual encounters. And as I think Gavin mentioned, more and more people are coming to speak out, which is usually how you can tell that this guy's guilty as fuck, because it's like an avalanche of people. It's not people in his life coming out and saying, we're horrified, like we've never seen any example of this, like I've spent a bunch of time with this guy and never seen anything remotely like that happening. It's like a bunch of people being like, I actually can testify to this too, or yeah, like actually this checks out because I was here and now I'm thinking about it, and oh god, this is the kind of situation it was, and that's not good at all. And it's especially horrible again because I mean, this is not like this guy isn't like a textbook kind of a guy that you would expect this to come from. Like he had all the like right woke ideology, like the right positions. He was not a creep from the outlook of it, to me at least as a viewer. But then, you never know.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you said, Zach, it seems like there's a lot more allegations coming to light. There's like 2 official allegations, but then since those women have come forward, a bunch more women have kind of chimed in. Again, they haven't actually like gone to the media. I don't know if they're all they've all revealed their names and faces. Some of them still seem to be fairly anonymous, but there's accusations and people bringing up incidents with Andrew going back to high school. So it seems like this is a real pattern of behavior for the guy. And with that amount of allegations, it's pretty hard to ignore. It's kind of like the Bill Cosby thing. It's like if 1 or 2 people accuse you, then you could make a case for yourself and be like, oh, this person was scorned and they're petty and they're a liar, whatever. Maybe you can get some people to believe you. But if it's like over a dozen people, like, what are they all lying, bro? Like, are they all fucking making this up? I don't think so, dog. So, yeah, I think that it's pretty clear what's going on, and I think he will probably lose his show as a result. I guess he just started a
feature-length documentary is what's about to come out.
Yeah, and also I think a show on, I want to say HBO or something.
Oh, really? Yeah,
That's
he's
what I heard.
Then. Good. Well,
Yeah.
Good riddance if if this all turns out to be true. Like, fuck him and all that. But yeah, I mean, the dude was like, I mean, he was hitting a real high. I didn't understand fully how popular this dude was until he started making the rounds to promote his most recent project. And then I was like, oh my God. Like when I saw him he did a thing with Anthony Fantano a few weeks back, and that got like 500,000 views. And I was like, oh shit, this guy's a draw. This guy is a fucking draw. And then I was like starting to watch like his best content. I was like, oh yeah, you were getting millions of views. You are like a chief YouTuber. And now that's all gone, buddy. LOL. You got Shane Dawson.
Yep. 100%. And yeah, it's a real bummer because he kind of did what you could describe as gonzo journalism,
Yeah,
and
when he was 19, he published a memoir and he just hitchhiked across the country. Like that takes fucking tenacity, bro.
Hella. And some of the stories I've seen are from various women in the, or the cities across the country. He would kind of hop around cities and leave a trail of abuse victims behind him. So it's real dark stuff. It's real unfortunate. Obviously, shout out to those women who are brave enough to come forward and share their experiences. And luckily, people seem to be believing them. And luckily there seems to be some consequences materializing for this fucking piece of shit.
Yeah, absolutely. And Lloyd made a joke thing, thank God I've never had to stoop to such vile antics to get some tail. Gavin and I, we were talking about this before the show. I get that you're making a joke, but that's not what this is about. Obviously, Andrew Callahan, with his millions of fucking YouTube subscribers, is going to find somebody that finds him attractive and wants to have sex with him. And, he's not, I mean, like, if you're a famous person, like, it's just not that hard to find somebody who wants to have consensual sex with you, right? The reason these people, like, if you think Bill Cosby couldn't find women that, like, wanted to have consensual sex with him, it's not about that. They want to have sex with lifeless bodies that they can control and manipulate and extort and do whatever the fuck they want to without any kind of, like, push. It's fucking depraved. It's disgusting. It is not about, like, some desperate Andrew Callahan just couldn't figure out how to get laid. Like, happy-go-lucky guy. He's 17 years old, and oh boy, he just said, please have sex with me, and they said no, and then now he's losing everything. Like, that is the kind of situation that a lot of people were trying to portray it as. Some of his simps were trying to portray it as. It's much more nefarious and dark than that. So yeah, I think that's a lot of what it is. But anyway, shout out to you guys in the chat for not being disgusting perverts.
Yeah, exactly. And that's always the craziest thing about cases like this. It's like, bro, you could have gotten laid. I'm sure you could have had any number of consensual romantic partners. But it doesn't seem like that's what he really wanted, was the consent. He wanted to have that control, which is, really, really just dark stuff. So again, shout out to those women and those individuals that came forward with their stories. I'm glad that people are taking it seriously, and it's a bummer, but a dark note to start the show on for sure. Didn't even really plan on talking about that, but
yeah, sorry, I just super chats. Brought it up because I was like, fuck, this has been on my mind for the last 2 hours. Ever since I watched like more into it, I was like, I can't stop thinking about this. I have to talk about this.
Yeah. Got a couple super chats. Shout out to you, Kevin. Catching y'all live twice in a week is a rare treat. Happy birthday, Zach. Well, shout out to you, Kevin. Thanks so much for tuning in for the second time this week. We really appreciate you double dipping.
Holy shit, Kevin Smith watches our show, bro. We're big time. Oh my God. Shout out to you, Kevin.
What is Kevin Smith's, the Kevin Smith's middle name?
Maxwell, Gavin. It's right in front of you.
Kevin Patrick Smith. Not quite. Not quite.
It's his libtard01 account.
He uses it to comment on the Vanguard. Yeah, thank you so much, Kevin. Really appreciate that.
Congratulations, Zach, on a quarter of Chomsky's lifetime rounded up. Yeah, I don't anticipate to even sniff the numbers that Chomsky's putting up. He's like 93 now or something like that. 90, or maybe he's 95 because he said rounded up. So
I think he just turned 94.
94. Okay.
So.
Yeah, either way.
He's about to.
Anyway, he's old as all hell. If I live to be 70, I'm going to call that a big fat W, one with climate change and all the poor life decisions I've made. So shout out to you, Dotsbos Fleisch.
Yeah, thanks so much, man. Really appreciate that. And shout out to you, Christina. Thank you so much for the $4.99. I remember watching your stream last year on your birthday. Congrats. Hell yeah, Christina. Thank you so much for being such a loyal, longtime viewer. That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, shout out to you, Christina. Always great seeing you in the chat, and glad to see that you've been riding with us since last year as a consistent viewer. That's so tight. And thank you so much. Happy birthday, Zach. Have a drink on me. Kombucha for Gavin. Hey, based. Shout out to you, Red Blitz. Thank you so much for the donation.
Yeah, thank you so much, Red Blitz. And that's very kind of you. I do need some kombucha. No alcohol for me tonight. I went a little bit overboard last night. So kombucha
when in New Orleans.
Exactly. I know, right? Yeah, so definitely going to go grab some kombucha. There's actually a great coffee shop where I got this from down the street. And they have fire kombucha there. So I'll go grab one of those after the stream. Thank you so much, Red Blitz. Really appreciate that.
And shout out to you, Comrade, $10 donation. Thank you so much for the happy birthday wishes. It's been nice. I'm not a big birthday guy. I'm not like, oh my God, it's my birthday. Like, let's do all the shit. I'm like, it's Tuesday and I'm a year older and I'm like feeling bad about all the goals I didn't attain. But
don't feel bad, bro. You've done a lot of cool shit.
Yeah, for sure. I try and have the right headspace on it, but I'm just like, fuck, man. We only have one timeline and I'm not Orson Welles on this timeline. Like, fucking, I'm kidding.
Bro, the passing of time is terrifying, is it not?
I know, it's fucking crazy, especially because it's like, got a lot of shit we want to do. And admittedly, I feel like Gavin and I, we've given it a good run over the past couple of years. Got more shit I want to accomplish, though. So it's just like, whoa, fuck. intimidating. Another year gone, I'm like 25. If you would have talked to me when Gavin and I first started hanging out really regularly when we were like 16, like all the shit we would have like thought about by the time you're 25, yeah, I fucking died 10 years from now. I got all the time, anyway, it gets away from you.
Yeah. Although I still think I've accomplished more than I expected I would have up to this point. I kind of just thought I'd be like, schlubbing it away at some fucking gas station. I don't know. I never really expected to have a very impressive life, but not that I do, but I've still accomplished more in the 24 years that I have been here than I expected I would have up to this point. So I guess that's cool.
That is cool.
But, shout out to you, comrade. Really appreciate the $10. And another alcohol related question.
Happy birthday to me. Shout out to you, Jonathan. Always great to see you in the chat. Another longtime loyal listener of the Vanguard. What's my birthday drink of choice? That's interesting. Last night I did go out for a cocktail at this place, Jim's Alley Bar, because it was going to be closed on Tuesday, which was my actual birthday. And I'd wanted to check it out. And I had a damn good Cuba Libre, which I was sus about because they make their own Coca-Cola there. And I'm always like,
what?
I don't know. Can you make good Coca-Cola? And then I had it and I was like, what the fuck? This is a delicious Cuba Libre. And I have to go back. So they're closed today again, so I won't be doing that today. But yesterday, my drink of choice was a Cuba Libre. It was delicious.
That sounds good. Cuba Libres are super underrated cocktails, I feel like.
Oh yeah, it's delicious and simple too. So it was the perfect balance that you wanted. It was like all lime on your nose when you would like take a sip of it, but then it was all like, caramel and burnt sugar and like, Coca-Cola and like rum notes on the way back. But it was so smooth. They used a white rum in it. Anyway, good job over at Jim's Alley Bar. We'll have to go. Yeah,
if you're ever at a bar and you want a rum and Coke, just ask for a Cuba Libre. It sounds way classier. Sounds like you know what you're talking about more. Rum and Coke, nothing special, but nothing classy about that, bro. But Cuba Libre, ooh, that's a worldly man. You know what I'm saying?
Globetrotter over here. He's penciling you in between his fucking meeting with Castro Jr. and fucking the Havana Night Dancers. No, shout out to you, Jonathan. Yo, shout out to Grass Hole. Happy birthday, Zach. Been watching you guys since the Force the Vote drama. I will make a joke and ask if you mean since yesterday. No, I'm you, Grass Hole, a long-time listener. Again, great to see you in the chat. And always nice to hear from everybody.
Yeah, shout out to you, Grass Hole. I don't think I've seen you before. But thanks so much for tuning in today. Really appreciate the super chat. And thanks for being a long-time listener slash watcher of the Vanguard. That's going back a couple of years now. So really appreciate the viewership and appreciate you sticking it out through all of the drama and all of the ups and downs that this channel has experienced. It's been a wild ride, So I really appreciate you guys that have stuck with us through all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did want to shout out 2 chats that we got that weren't super chats, but one of them, I brought up David Foster Wallace writing Broom of the System at 24. People were asking what we thought about David Foster Wallace's politics as like lefties now, because he does get like cringy JP a little bit in some of his writing. And that's totally true. And I actually don't, I think that you could make a case that, David Foster Wallace like had some misogynistic tendencies, that he wasn't really happy with women in the way that he like interacted with them. But you can't take away from the guy that he was like one of the most magnificent prosists of the second half of the 20th century. So anyway,
I had no idea that he had Jordan Peterson-esque opinions on women and politics. That's crazy.
He was very like 90s, like, oh, women don't want to be with me at some points, like, and again, I'm not a master of all of his work, right? Like I've read like, his shorter shit, never finished Infinite Jest. Okay. But I've read a lot of his stuff and I know that there's that criticism of him in the literary world. But I just mostly admire him for his like absolutely just ingenious prose, which I think.
Didn't you say Infinite Jest was kind of annoying though?
It gets annoying because it's so long, but you can't deny how brilliant the writing is. You know what I mean? You know me. I have like I could watch, a Tarkovsky movie and be like, this is fucking incredible cinematography, right? But it's also painstaking and like too long and like, okay, like, come on, so, we pick and choose what we love.
That's funny. Yeah. I've never actually read, really anything by David Foster Wallace, to be honest. That's embarrassing to say, except for his essay on David Lynch's Lost Highway.
That's in that's in a collection of essays called The Supposedly Fun Thing I'll Never Do Again. And it's the whole essay collection I think you would really like.
Interesting. Speaking of cinema, by the way, I don't know why I just thought of this, but Did you see the trailer for Ari Aster's new film drop today?
I saw that it dropped, and I played the first couple seconds of it, but then I didn't want anything to be spoiled for myself, so I stopped
Same.
watching it.
Same. I kind of just like clicked through it to get a couple, flashes of the imagery and stuff. It looks crazy. I've heard it described as very Kafka-esque, so that really excites me. I'm a big fan of Kafka, specifically the Metamorphosis. So really hoping that this is probably my most anticipated film of the year, to be honest.
I still wish that they would have just named it Disappointment Boulevard. That's such a better name, but whatever. Beau is Afraid can still be a good movie.
We'll see. Maybe it'll make more sense after you see it. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe it will. But I agree. Beau is Afraid is a weird title. It's not going to
roll off the tongue any better. No. Beau is Afraid. I'm like, that's clunky, dude. What the fuck?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's like inspired or based on a short film he made before Hereditary, which is just called Beau. So I'm not going to watch it because I don't want any spoilers, but I guess there is some connection to a film he's already, like a short film he already made. Either way, that's an aside. Sorry for derailing the conversation to talk about movies. Shout out to you, Penis Drager, for the $4.99. That's pretty funny. It is morally and ethically important for each of us who like and subscribe in celebration of Zach's birthday. Damn straight, Penis Drager. Everyone, like, take a hard look at that super chat and react accordingly, please.
At first, I read your name as Penis Dragger, and I was like, shout out to you, Penis Dragger. But I guess it's Penis Drager. Excuse me. Shout out to you. I appreciate the shout out and the obliging of everyone to like and subscribe.
Yeah, everyone hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And if you don't like us, just do it because it's Zach's birthday. Even if you hate our fucking commentary, just do it as a gift for Zach. But yeah, shout out to you, Penis Drager. That's funny as fuck. And shout out to you, Nikki O'Brien. Really appreciate you chiming in once again. $4.99. Happy birthday, Zach. I hope to visit KC this spring and have you mix me a drink. What's the name of that bar you work at?
Afterward Tavern and Shelves. Yeah, it's cool. Every time, occasionally I'll see some people that we know from the show that we don't know, but like, people who know us from the show come in, see the bar. It's a cool little bar. That bar is actually blowing the fuck up, actually. It's crazy. Gavin, this is nuts. Gavin remembers, and because he doesn't like to come in anymore because it's so fucking busy now. But back in the day, it used to be dead basically all the time. When we started working that bar and really kicking it into high gear, we were doing like $500 days in sales, like bad business. Okay, it was slow in there, which was tight for our regulars because they would just come in and have an empty bar all the time. But now, I mean, packed all the fucking time, which is tight.
You prefer it that way?
Yeah, I do, just because it's kind of an accomplishment, to see our cocktails that like I came up with, like selling like motherfuckers. Like this dude from New York City came and did a whole, like, he's a famous TikToker, and he came and did a whole thing about like underrated spot, or how Kansas City was an underrated town and an undiscovered town. Last thing he shouts out was, if you're looking for great cocktails and a cozy atmosphere, come to Afterward. And I was like, man, we're getting fucking
noticed. Were you in the TikTok?
I wasn't in the TikTok, just the bar.
Oh, that's still pretty fucking dope though, dude. Congratulations.
Yeah, so the bar's really fucking turning around, which is insane. It's nuts. We got written about in the Star.
Hell yeah, bro.
So like,
hell yeah.
Yeah.
I saw I think I might have seen was this one in the Star with the photo of you?
Was there a picture of me?
Maybe it was the pitch.
Yeah, there was one that I mean, I've been in a couple of like the pictures holding shit, but I've never been in the picture like my face. I don't, at least as far as I know.
Well, I saw on Facebook, my mom shared a local article, I think it was from the Star or the Pitch, about Afterward, and it had a picture of you like shaking a drink or something.
LOL, that could have definitely happened. I just know that there was a Star article about us, not to derail us all the way. Like my face is in a fucking Midwestern newspaper. That's fine, but yeah, shout out to you, Nikki. We do have really great cocktails if you come to the bar.
Yeah, I'm trying to find that shit because it's pretty cool. It was a good photo too. Oh wait, no. That was actually just a post. She just shared a post from Afterward.
I was gonna say, I don't think I was like, I think they have to ask you before they put your picture in that kind of shit. But anyway, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Point aside, the plot's been thickening.
Here's Zach at work.
LOL, yeah. Funny stuff.
Anyway, yeah, shout out to you, Dickie. Appreciate the super chat. And another one wishing you happy birthday. Thanks, Mike.
Shout out to Mike H, #1 sports guard stan, holding it down for the rest of us. Excited to talk more Sports Guard when there's more to talk about. It's going to be a long week because I'm one of those bad sports fans where I really only like watching the Chiefs, or I'll watch games that are consequential for the Chiefs, but hard for me to get excited about a football game that has no like relation to the Chiefs advancing. And once the Chiefs stop playing, like if we don't advance through the playoffs, like, oh, it's really hard to get me to pay attention to the Super Bowl or anything like that. I'm a terrible sports fan. I only care about watching the Chiefs succeed, which is, it's the same. I have to start gambling if I want to be interested in these other games next week to do a Sports Guard segment. I'll be like, all right, I got to put like fucking $15 on the Vikings to advance or something like that. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, I also just couldn't care less as if the Chiefs aren't playing or if they aren't doing well. Like back when we were younger and the Chiefs didn't have Patrick Mahomes as quarterback, I'm sad to say I never cared, just because, like, what am I supposed to care about? Them losing again for the 100th time? Like,
Gavin's telling you he didn't pay his fucking dues. He didn't watch Tyler Thigpen, Matt Castle, Alex Smith. He didn't go through the ringer. He didn't watch Romeo Cornell try and coach the team. He didn't watch Todd Haley fumble and fuck it up for years. He didn't watch us go from a middling team, at least a somewhat competent team back when Trent Green was our quarterback and Tony Gonzalez was our fire superstar tight end, till Trent Green's brains got spilled all over the fucking field back in like 2005.
Wait, what?
Not actually. He got hit so bad. Like, you remember when Tua got hit this year?
Yeah.
Trent Green had he was our quarterback. He had and he still lives in the like metro area, I think, actually. He'll like be in events and stuff, but he got his fucking shit rocked bad. It was one of the first really gnarly football injuries I remember seeing, and then he was like fucked up after that. I think he went and played in Miami. We cut him after because it was nasty hit. Anyway,
interesting. Yeah, that I don't remember that happening, to be honest, but yeah, football's a barbaric sport, something that we're reminded of much every season, and then people always act like it's a shock, like, oh, football's so fucking barbaric. I'm like, yep. We knew that.
Getting in multiple car accidents every game when those dudes get sacked. It's fucking terrible.
Yeah, that's some crazy shit. That's why they pay him the big bucks, though, I guess. Anyway, yeah, I guess we can actually get the show started.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to go ahead and plow into Katie Porter running for Senate? We can react to her video announcement. Her campaign launch video is, I guess, the best way to describe it if you want.
Yeah, sure. Let's do exactly that. So yeah, Katie Porter, who of course is quite progressive Democrat representative from California, Orange County, progressive star who won re-election in November, on Tuesday announced her campaign for Senate in 2024. In a video announcing her bid, Porter said she's running because California needs a warrior in Washington who will stand up to powerful banking, oil, and pharmaceutical interests. Her announcement comes amid uncertainty over whether Senator Dianne Feinstein, the 89-year-old California Democrat, will retire at the end of 2024. So that's what makes this story actually a little bit interesting, you guys. Dianne Feinstein, I'm sure you guys all are aware of Dianne Feinstein. She's the longest serving female senator and has been plagued with issues related to her advanced age and specifically her memory. A lot of people around her colleagues, have recounted pretty painful experiences about them having to reintroduce themselves to her multiple times, even within the same conversation, because of her memory issues. She's clearly unfit to be serving as a U.S. senator. That's the painful truth. And for whatever reason, she is refused to step down. She's refused to just, gracefully exit the Senate, and instead has kind of tarnished her legacy as a U.S. senator by remaining in the role despite her very clear cognitive issues. So again, Dianne Feinstein has really tarnished her reputation, in my opinion. Even if you completely remove policy, she's a total corporate Democrat. So I have no fond feelings for her, regardless of her age and of her cognitive issues. But given the fact that she's a trailblazing, female senator, longest serving female senator, all this stuff, it is unfortunate, just for the sake of her legacy, that it's been so tarnished by her refusal to step down. Either way, she has not, confirmed nor denied whether she will be running for re-election in 2024. But I can go ahead and tell you guys right now, she ain't running again. She ain't running again. She might not even make it to the end of her current term, right? The term is up in 2024. It's currently 2023. And, her cognitive issues aren't getting any better. That's for sure. So I don't even know if she'll make it to the end of her term. If she does make it to the end of her term, she definitely will not be seeking re-election. I can promise you guys that. Senate terms are 6 years, not 2 like in the House. So there's no way she makes it another 6 years in the U.S. Senate, let alone would be capable of running a re-election campaign and participating in the debates and stuff if she in fact is contending with a primary challenge from Katie Porter, who's a rising star and a real powerhouse in the Democratic caucus. So I think that's what really makes this story interesting. The fact that Dianne Feinstein has not yet announced her retirement nor any plans to seek re-election. And here we have Katie Porter jumping into the race, the first candidate to jump into this race. There's rumors that Adam Schiff will jump in. In fact, more than rumors, it's practically confirmed. Apparently, Adam Schiff actually told Dianne Feinstein in person that he would be, seeking her seat in the upcoming election, as well as Ro Khanna, which is interesting because Ro Khanna and Katie Porter kind of occupy the same sort of progressive lane. They're both, kind of like Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren style Democrats. And I think that a big part of the reason why Katie Porter announced this early is to beat Ro Khanna to the punch. I really do think that's a big part of this. She wants to be the progressive that's running in this race. She doesn't want to have to contend with, Ro Khanna in the same lane as her. So she wants to get in there first and kind of define this race with her candidacy. So what's your take on all this, Zach?
Yeah, so there's a lot to unpack here. One, I think it has to be said that it's actually, like, more than anything, it's just sad that Dianne, because I mean, like, there's no, you don't want to make fun of somebody with, like, I mean, she very obviously, and it's in fact confirmed, there's a pharmacist that anonymously, the pharmacist for the Senate, anonymously confirmed that there were multiple unnamed senators that they had filled out prescriptions for dementia and Alzheimer's related medication, and it is widely speculated and almost at this point acknowledged that one of those senators is Dianne Feinstein, who has had very public, also sad, right? Like this would be like the really kind of sad thing that you wouldn't want to talk about too much if they weren't a sitting senator, right? So they don't get that, they're not entitled to that kind of privacy, unfortunately, when it comes to their cognitive functions, because she hasn't stepped down. If Dianne Feinstein had stepped down 10 years ago, right, then it would be to-do for us to be like sitting here talking about like, LOL, like this old woman, she can't remember shit, but she's refused to do that. And I think that there's multiple conversations that need to be had around the people who are surrounding her, right, her family members, and why they haven't intervened and said, hey, we don't think this is healthy for you. Clearly, this is not where your energy is best spent. If you are battling such a severe cognitive ailment, such as dementia or Alzheimer's, and also just at such an advanced age, what is she personally getting from this? Probably nothing. So you have to wonder and speculate, like, who around her, who in her, immediate family life and the people closest to her, how are they benefiting from this? Because that would be the only reason why you wouldn't just say, hey, like mom or grandma or aunt or whoever the fuck is close to this lady, and be like, we need you to step away from this, please, and take care of yourself, because it's hurting you. And it's not just hurting you, it's making it more difficult for the constituents of California to have effective representation in government, right? And those are big deals. That's like something you have to talk about. So I support a robust primary to fill this seat, regardless of whether or not she seeks to run again. I think that Katie Porter has the upper hand because it is the seat that belonged to the longest serving female senator. This is California we're talking about. I think that Katie Porter will be able to position herself as more of a natural heir. Like, do we want to see one less woman in the Senate after Dianne Feinstein retires? This pioneering woman, this girl boss, this woman that's always been around. Do we want to see less women in the Senate, right? We already don't have Kamala Harris in the Senate anymore, right? She left. No, do we really want to change the balance of the women in power in the Senate to this? So I think she has a great political lane there. And if I'm her advisor, I'm telling her to lean the fuck into that immediately, right?
Yep.
Because that's a great lane. She can also wedge Ro Khanna out with that, right? Oh, you're a progressive. Why are you trying to steal this away from another progressive woman? She is here first, again, the natural heir argument. She'll have a tougher time barking up that tree with Adam Schiff because he wants to obviously come in with decidedly more corporate politics than she does. Adam Schiff is about as neoliberal of a guy as you could fucking get. He has no morals or anything like the rest of the swamp. Katie Porter, you can at least point to things that she's done that are based, like she does want to break up big tech, like she does support things like the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which is why, you know, she was a big Warren person. That was like the one good thing Elizabeth Warren did while she was in politics, right? Can't take that away from her. That was actually based, right? It's like when she was on the debate stage and she roasted the shit out of the governor, Bloomberg.
Yeah, Mike Bloomberg.
Those were the two W's. I'll give old Liz. You know, there were a lot of L's though. Let's not start with that. Anyway, so you know, you have that, and I think it will probably. You're right, Gavin. I don't think Dianne Feinstein will run again. It would be absolutely embarrassing. She would lose. It would be just horrid for her reputation, and it would have to. There's nothing for her to gain. Like her career is done. She can't. You know, there would have to be a special election for sure. Like it's already embarrassing that it's gone on for this long. So I guarantee you, like Gavin said, like there's no chance that Dianne Feinstein is running again. And on top of that, if there were any chance she was running again, I don't think we would see Adam Schiff or honestly probably Katie Porter putting their hat in there. They wouldn't have the gall to run against somebody who's at an institution like Dianne Feinstein. And again, Dianne Feinstein's whatever, right? Like back in the day, she was a part of like a couple of good bills, but by and large, she stayed the neoliberal order. You know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah, you know, she was kind of early on and saying that like gay people should get married. It's like, all right, well, she also was a senator in California. How much of a fucking political risk was that? That's what people always say when you bring up Dianne Feinstein. She was very early on the, again, okay, I get it, but she wasn't doing that in the 1960s and 70s when it was hard. Anyway.
Right. Yeah. So again, there's a lot of interesting things about this news. I think the funniest part about it is the freak out that it's inspired by the corporate wing of the party who wants to coalesce behind Adam Schiff for this seat. As it says here, a source close to Schiff, the former House Intelligence Committee chairman and a close ally of former Speaker Pelosi, called it an incredible mistake for Porter to launch her bid amid a historic storm that have claimed the lives of more than a dozen people, destroyed hundreds of homes, and displaced thousands of Californians. And Schiff added that we are not going to announce in the middle of a natural disaster and are surprised that others would do so. That's what the source close to Schiff's campaign says. We're not playing politics in the middle of a natural disaster that has left people dead. So this is just stupid. Like they're clearly upset about the fact that Katie Porter beat him to the punch and declared her candidacy before Adam Schiff did. So now they're making up this like reason to be upset about it, saying that, oh, wow, this is such a mistake to declare your candidacy while there's a storm going on. I'm not sure if you've been paying attention to the storm in California. I didn't even know this was happening. But I don't see why this would why the fact that there's a natural disaster going on and to say why that conflicts with her ability to announce a run for the Senate. Like it just seems like a very flimsy, a very manufactured and concocted reason to be upset by. And it really just comes off as pettiness and pearl clutching.
Oh, 100%. I could just as easily say that she has seen, because of this natural disaster, she can hold off no longer. The people of California need her. See, you can flip that on its head so easily. It's totally flimsy. And he's just, I believe the professional term for it in politics is butthurt.
Exactly. And then other people, Kana also said he has yet to make a decision, but is focused on the severe rain and flooding. Like, I mean, you're a fucking Senate. I mean, if you're a representative running for the Senate, like, I mean, I guess it's not like you're the governor. Like your job is to fucking vote on bills, not like go provide aid to people affected by flooding. I just think that's a stupid reason. And it's, like I said, it's obviously concocted. Right now, California is facing severe storms and floods, and my district is, yeah. So just I doubt Kana runs. Honestly, I doubt he runs just because he knows he would lose to Katie Porter. And also some people have been pearl clutching over the fact that Katie Porter has announced her intentions to run for this seat, despite the fact that Dianne Feinstein has not formally announced her retirement yet, kind of pearl clutching and saying like, you're besmirching the legacy of this great trailblazing woman and disrespecting her by, jumping into this race before she bows out officially and all this crap. It's who fucking cares? Who fucking cares? What is this? a personal branding exercise for, die and fight. No, it's about who's the best representative for the state, who's going to serve the people of California best. And clearly it's not going to be fucking Dianne Feinstein. So who cares about all this legacy crap? I think it's a total, it's just pearl clutching, like I said, and it's not substantive whatsoever. So again, a lot of interesting things about this. I guess we can take a look at her announcement video, but also just to underscore what a formidable candidate Katie Porter is. Whatever you think of her personal politics, like I said, I certainly have some gripes, especially the fact that she endorsed Elizabeth Warren. That's a real red flag in my book. But yeah, I did want to underscore what a formidable candidate she is by showing you guys this. Katie Porter has been a representative in California's 45th district. Up until November, they redistricted her area. So now I think she's in the 46th district. But up until then, she was a representative from California's 45th district. And I'll show you guys here. This is basically the Orange County area. Let's check out who's represented this district up until Kate Porter's election. We got Republican, 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 and then Katie Porter. So she actually flipped a massively red district in California. And, we can discuss various reasons why. Some people attribute it to the fact that she doesn't really get involved in the culture wars as much as some other Democrats and is more focused on substantive economic populism and is very anti-corporate, which does appeal to a lot of Republican voters. But the point is that she's a formidable candidate. She flipped a long-time Republican district. I think it's actually the district that Arnold Schwarzenegger was from. Orange County is a very, Republican area. She flipped it. She's very appealing to people regardless of their partisan affiliation. And I think that, she has a really strong chance of taking the seat.
I think she's a great candidate for the state of California. I do. I think that her I think also the fact that people will recognize her from the social media splashes that she's made, holding up those big, corporate welfare charts and all of the shit that she's made a show of doing. That's like the best thing that she did while she was in Congress, right? Was she really exposed the corruption of the big tech companies, and in California, that's going to resonate with people because so many regular people are getting fucked by big tech, and it has reverberations, right? Say you live in San Jose or San Francisco or the broader NorCal, Oakland area, or you live in LA, down south to San Diego and up another 3 hours north of LA, because all that area is fucking expensive now, and it's all because of tech industry. It's all because of the boom and bust economy that she's speaking directly about. And even though she doesn't have my, preferred solutions for these things, at least she's articulating a real problem in this country and a potential mitigating, I don't want to call it solution, but just a potential mitigation of the harm. So yeah, I think that she's going to be speaking the language of the people of California who are by and large going to elect a Democrat for the Senate. So it's really about getting through the primary and beating Adam Schiff, and I think she could do it.
Yeah, 100%. And let's take a look at her announcement video.
We're living through a time of extraordinary change. I'm Katie Porter. Change can be electrifying and exhilarating, but change can also be disruptive, like the constant assault on our democracy and the dangerous imbalance in our economy. The threat from so-called leaders like Mitch McConnell has too often made the United States Senate the place where rights get revoked, special interests get rewarded, and our democracy gets rigged. Especially in times like these, California needs a warrior in Washington. That's exactly why I'm announcing my candidacy for the United States Senate in 2024. I don't do Congress the way others often do. I use whatever power I have to speak hard truths to the powers that be, to not just challenge the status quo, but call it out, name names, and demand justice. That goes for taking on Wall Street and the big banks, big oil, and big pharma. It's why I refuse to accept corporate PAC and lobbyist campaign money. I don't want it. And I'm leading the fight to ban congressional stock trading because it's just wrong. To win these fights, it's time for new leadership in the U.S. Senate. If you agree, please go to katieporter.com and join my campaign for the U.S. Senate today. Thank you for caring about the California we can build together.
So yeah, that's a, for the most part, I would say fairly milquetoast ad, right? It's not that impressive. It's just, your typical campaign ad. But there are a couple important parts that I think are, do make it impressive. And that's when she talks about taking on, the, congressional stock trading and being one of the leaders in the fight against, lawmakers' ability to trade stocks. As well as the fact that she says she will not be taking any corporate campaign contributions, saying that she doesn't want their money. So, that's not nothing, right? Those are actual substantive policy distinctions, which do separate her from the rest of the pack. And despite the fact that ad is kind of just, typical normie Democrat ad, Republicans bad, Democrats good. I'm gonna be a warrior in the Senate or woman warrior, whatever she said. You know what I'm saying? Like a warrior in Washington, like, okay, whatever. But still, I think it's important the fact that she specified she will not be taking corporate campaign contributions and that she's against the congressional stock trading.
Yeah, that's the shit that they have to hit home for, right? They have to come in hard. And by they, I mean the campaign apparatus of Katie Porter. She has to be able to really nail herself to that issue if she wants to win. And again, guys, I'm not going to be sending any money to this lady. I mean, I'm not going to be getting my hopes up about this lady. She will be a player in Washington, right? We're talking about marginal change if she gets elected. But I do think that if we're just prognosticating, if we're just looking at the outcome and telling you guys like, hey, this is likely how it's going to shake out, I think if she does hammer home on the issue of the of big tech, which is what she's best suited to hammer on, big tech and Wall Street, right? The large financial apparatuses that govern this country and exploit workers. If she's able to hammer home on that and the rising cost of living in the state of California, which is undeniable, then I think that the people would be more receptive to that. God, I hope they're more receptive to that than the argument of Adam Schiff. It's impossible for me to believe that if you compare those two arguments, that the people are going to choose the blasé milquetoast neoliberalism of Adam Schiff. Although I agree with you, that wasn't the most creative campaign ad. And if you compare it side by side to somebody like Lucas Kuntz, I guess Lucas Kuntz was a little more interesting, but it's like still leaves a lot to be desired in the like campaign launch video department. So I think they could all maybe stand to learn a little bit from John Fetterman's campaign and try and be a little more relevant, try and be a little more youthful, try and engage on social media in a way that's a little more 21st century and not 1955. Like, I'm going to be the warrior that you need because we want good things and we oppose bad things. And that's why I'm going to smile on in the Sunshine State or the Golden State or whatever the fuck is California. Sunshine State, Florida. Golden State is California. Anyway. I hate political ads. Yeah, it's because they're all fucking terrible, Brian, and you have a brain. You're a smart guy. They're reaching the lowest common denominator, not you, buddy. They're trying to corral sheep. Like, they're not, they're, hey, vote for me over here. Oh, okay, that person looks friendly. Like, that's what political ads are for. They're just make you look friendly, even though you're both sacks of shit, basically.
Yeah, I hate them too. It just feels like they're trying so desperately to pander to you. But yeah, shout out to you, Brian. Appreciate the 199 super chat. And yeah, Katie Porter, definitely a mixed bag, but as far as Democrats go, she's definitely one of the more impressive, one of the more unique, and definitely undeniably one of the best communicators. Those whiteboard presentations are certainly something. And I think, again, when it comes to just her political talents and abilities to communicate, she's certainly one of the best that the Democrats have in the House.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. Shout out to you, to Blues Guy. Great to see you in the chat. Happy birthday. Y'all ever seen The Sheets? Great show about drinking and facts about beer, alcohol, etc. I think they are on YouTube. Fun watch for bartenders. Well, I'm always looking for good bartender content. As Gavin knows, I think in like 3 weeks, I plowed through every single episode of the How to Drink. Shout out to that guy, Greg. He's a base commie. He's not really a commie, but he does have some good political takes that he laces into his videos. But I'll check out 3 Sheets. I just Googled it. I think it's on Amazon Prime and maybe also on YouTube too. So thanks for the recommendation, and shout out to you, to Blues Guy.
That's a clever name too. 3 sheets to the wind or whatever is the expression. That's pretty clever. Anyway, thank you so much to Blues Guy. Appreciate the $10 and another happy birthday wish for you, Zach.
Damn, the people love me. Wow. No, I'm kidding. Shout out to you, Jay Birdie. Great to hear from you and see everybody in the chat. And appreciate all the kind wishes.
Yeah, shout out to you, Jay Bird D. Really appreciate the super chat, man. And once again, Brian, thanks for the 199. Feinstein can no longer do the job. Yeah, 100%. No doubt about that, dude. It's really, truly embarrassing. And as I was saying to Zach before the show, like, why the fuck do you want to be in the Senate still at 89 years old? Like, go retire. Like, I'm not trying to be ageist, but like, go drink a fucking margarita on the beach, chill for 5 seconds. Why are you spending your last remaining years of, and like, why are you doing that? I just don't understand why people just cling on to power like so desperately. You've had a long career. You're the longest serving female senator. What is going on?
Yeah, I think that's what I think it has to come down to. It has to be like some sort of like in like family, like inner circle pressure to stay, or that coupled with some like intense delusion that they are still doing a good job and they're the only one that can continue to do this job, right? I think it has to be some level of both. But I mean, there's so much cognitive decline going on with Dianne Feinstein. I don't even mean that as a joke, guys. Like, I mean literal, actual cognitive decline, like medical issues that are so apparent if you watch this woman and if you read about this woman's interactions with people on the Hill. So I just think that it's so true, obviously, Brian, that she can't do her job, adequately. And I think it's a bummer and a problem that we have no like guiding system for how to deal with these people if they are unable to or unfit to serve.
100%. Thank you so much, Brian. And thank you, George. Another happy birthday wish for the birthday boy, Zach.
Oh, Dick the birthday boy. No.
Dick the birthday boy.
Shout out to you, George. I really appreciate that birthday wishes.
Yeah. Thank you, George, for the cash. Really appreciate it. And shout out to you, Jonathan, for the $5. Andrew Schiff is the kid in grade school who'd raise his hand and the end of the class and tell the teacher they forgot to assign homework. LOL. That's pretty funny. Yeah, he's a totally odious, totally boring corporate stooge. I will be shocked if he is able to beat Katie Porter. But we'll see. You know, he is a powerful, well-connected, and well-financed Democrat. There's no denying that. He has those connections to Pelosi. So that's going to be important in a California Democratic primary. We can't undersell the value of that for a candidate in this race. So he'll also be a formidable opponent. I don't think it's going to just be a cakewalk for Katie Porter. Clearly, Schiff has been amassing his team to prepare for this. So it's going to be a dogfight for sure. We'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, that's hilarious, Jonathan, and thank you for the super chat. But I agree. He's going to be a formidable candidate. We can't overlook him. I think that, and honestly, this is my ignorance. Is it also a fucking jungle primary for the Senate in California? I know every state's a little bit different. I don't know if there's like a Democrat exclusive primary or if it is like, you know, more like some of their other races where it's more like jungle primary. Like I know in the congressional races in California, it's usually two Democrats running against each other on the election day, but I don't know if that's the case for California Senate races. I'm showing my ass here a little bit, but if it is a genuine regular primary, like we normally see them, like a Democrat will face off against a Republican on election day, then I think that the primary is going to be a real fucking battle. And if it's two Democrats, I wouldn't be surprised to see Adam Schiff and Katie Porter running against each other. I don't think that's how it works for the Senate. I don't think it's how it works for the Senate, but I could be wrong. And we could end up seeing Katie Porter and Adam Schiff run on election day, which would just be an outright bloodbath, but an interesting race to cover nonetheless from how will the Democrats present themselves in the future and how will that, how the voters respond to that. It'll be very telling.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to you, Jonathan. Really appreciate the donation. And Mike says the disaster isn't even in Southern California where she's at. Yeah, like I said, totally stupid reason to pearl clutch over her announcement. Like, how dare you play politics? Well, it's raining outside. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it also, like, yes, it's a problem, but it's a problem that is created by climate change and it's going to continue to happen. And also California low-key needs that rain. So I know mudslides are going to be like an issue and erosion and stuff, but like, can't we do something with that rain that's positive? Like, hey, couldn't we have planned for this? Like, geez, it's gonna rain a lot because it hasn't rained in forever, and we really need all that rain. Like, did you see, Gavin? This is fucked up. I'm like, I think we seriously need to get our asses over to this place. The Great Salt Lake in Utah, 5 years they think it's gonna be gone. The whole lake, the Great Salt Lake, gone. 5 years. 5 years. This is when it starts to get real, guys. That shit. I saw pictures of it. It doesn't even look like a Great Lake for real anymore. It looks bad. And when I was driving through the Southwest, I was looking around and I was like, you know what? There doesn't seem to be a lot of like high water horizon. Like you would see like creeks, but they would be scant, right? Whereas if you go to a place like Colorado, Gavin, melted snow makes sense. So there's water fucking everywhere, right? Southwest, no. So climate change, they used to have reservoirs, basins that were natural, but we've destroyed all of that. So anyway, in the next 5 years, we have to make sure we get out to fucking Salt Lake City. I don't know if there's any Vanguardians out in Salt Lake that want to see your boys, but we want to get there before that, natural thing of beauty is gone forever because of corporate greed and the nefarious actions of mankind. But anyways, shout out to you, Mike H. Always good to hear from you. I think we have a few more to run through. Schiff is one. Oh, no, sorry. Watch Soccer.
Sorry.
Yeah. Watch Soccer. Many clubs are owned by fans with former players as execs, pro regulation, international tourneys, and the culture much more fun than U.S. sports. This, I agree with you on every single premise, except for I don't know how to break it to you that it's like, I am not a man that can be reached logically on this issue. I am not somebody that can give you a rational explanation for why I like the Chiefs. It was just beat the fuck into me, not literally, but in my family, we didn't have God. We didn't have religion. We didn't have church. Okay. There were just 16 games a year on Sunday at 12 noon. And that was our religion. Okay. And I don't know what the fuck it is. Call me one of those people that's like, yeah, you can never really leave the church behind you because it molded you as a young person. Like no matter what the fuck was going on, the Chiefs were going to play on Sunday. And now, I mean, life's crazy. We got the Chiefs playing on Thursday. We got the place, playing on Saturdays. It's crazy. I feel like an old traditionalist. I'm like, oh, fucking football is on Sunday. What the fuck is this? I was at work at the bar at 3:30 the other day having to fucking I took one of the iPads that runs our register and I just pulled up a fucking like a very legal and official stream off the internet to watch it while I was at work, and then plugged it back up to the fucking register so it just showed the Chiefs game on the register. But I shouldn't have to do that. I don't work on Sunday, so I can watch the Chiefs game. Anyway, long story short, I wish I loved soccer like I love the Chiefs, but I just don't think it could ever happen for me. But maybe we'll get Gavin on soccer, so we'll have Gavin on the soccer sports guard and me on the football sports guard, and then maybe we can meet in the middle and we'll both watch hockey or something.
Yeah, there you go. I don't watch much soccer, Kevin. Not a huge sports guy in general, but I definitely
could learn to love it. I see it in your eyes.
Honestly, I've always thought no offense to the soccer fans. I've just never been a soccer guy.
Gavin's gonna root
but it is what it is. Thank you so much, Kevin. Really appreciate that. And shout out to you, Jay. Really appreciate that 2110. Thank you so much, man. That's super generous of you. Just started the live stream and I'm listening to Zach talk quarter life crisis. I'll be 44 on June 22nd, homie. Although the gray beard betrays me, I still feel young AF. You're going to be all right. Well, first of all, that's dope, Jay, because my birthday is also on June 22nd. So we share a birthday, both cancers. That's pretty cool. And yeah, I feel that, bro. I'm 24 right now, but sometimes I swear to God, I still feel like I am 18. You know what I'm saying? Like everything post high school has just been a blur. I don't know if it's the drugs and alcohol or what, but like I honestly still feel like a fucking high schooler sometimes. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But I feel you still feeling younger than you actually are. And, shout out to you, man. Really appreciate the generosity.
Yeah, shout out to you, Jay. Appreciate you tuning in and appreciate your generous super chats. We've seen heard from you over a couple of times the last few days. So great to see you in the chat and have a new Vanguard listener. But yeah, look, I get it. I just stress out about that shit, man. Like I get it that everybody feels young for longer, right? Like there's, you're always going to feel younger than you are. Like I don't feel old like in my body. I don't feel old in my brain, but I just look at the charts and I'm like, oh my God, like here we go. It's moving up in the elevator and you can't stop it. It's like, here we go.
It's scary, dude.
So yeah, shout out to you, Jay. Appreciate the kind words and the wisdom from somebody a bit my senior. And yeah, I'm not tripping about it too hard, but I always am more of like, fuck, like, everybody's stoked about their birthday. I'm always more like, damn, another year by already. Fuck me. Like, and it's also right after New Year's. So you're just like, God, Jimmy, here we go. Grinding away. The meat grinder of life is just taking another one from you. I don't know.
Yeah, it is scary. And shout out to you, Veg. Really appreciate the 420. Happy birthday, Zach. Coffee on me.
Shout out to you, vegetarian motor. Great combo. Our coffee shop that we always go to, Blip, is motorcycle themed, which, I feel like might be up your alley. Shout out to you, Vegmoto.
Yeah, thank you so much, Vegmoto. That's awesome. Really appreciate the super chat. And thank you, Linda Lee, U123 for the $9.99. That's super generous of you. Really appreciate you chiming in with the super chat.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to you, Linda Lee, U123 exclamation point. Really appreciate that.
And shout out to you, Mike H, for the $2. Ever watch the Royals? I actually prefer baseball to the other sports. Unfortunately, the Kansas City Royals aren't as good as they were, 5 or so years ago when they won the World Series. I don't know why. I guess they lost some of their really talented players. But I still, if someone was like, do you want to go to a Royals game or a Chiefs game? I'm going to the Royals game. It's just something that's more low key about it. I know that's a very unpopular opinion. I know that people, feel differently about the sport of baseball. And I don't even get terribly invested in the sport or the game itself, but it's just something about the like classic Americana vibes of baseball. It's just such a like old fashioned kind of a thing. I don't know what it is about it, but I just prefer the vibe of baseball. So I don't watch the Royals. Like I don't like pay attention. But if someone was like, do you want to go to a baseball game or a soccer game or a football game? I would go to the baseball game for sure.
Yeah, look, I mean, I like going to a baseball game. I mean, if somebody's offering me free tickets, I'll take the Chiefs games in a heartbeat because it's costs you like a fucking arm and a leg to go see the Chiefs play baseball. And it's like $10 to go watch the Royals. But that's because, look, here's the problem with baseball. I don't want to get on a high horse really quick because I grew up, I kicked around in the dirt and fucking, pretended to play baseball until I was like 4th grade and said, this is boring as shit. I want to watch TV instead. Look. A lot of people like baseball. It's an old thing. It does have that Americana vibe to it, but here's what they need to do to make baseball better. Straight up, you got to whack down. Nobody's watching 102 or 162 games of baseball or however many fucking 162 games, I think is how many there fucking is. Way too many. It makes them completely non-consequential, right? How many fucking sports are there 162 games? Fuck that. We don't need to see them play every single game. Let's take it down and do 1 week for every game of baseball, right? So of course the season you do 1 game a week, maybe a double header a few times, whatever. Keep the tradition alive. I'm not super set on any kind of regular, but you gotta fucking do something to make it engaging too. You gotta make the games count. Okay, that nobody gives a shit about what's happening until the playoffs, because it's like, okay, your team's either good enough to compete in the playoffs and you make it to the playoffs and then these games start to matter, or it's just like, well, fuck a loss. Like, there's still like 500 more games to go. So I think that really needs to change. But the one thing I was saying about baseball that I like is my bar doesn't have any TVs in it, right? Because it's a bookstore bar, and it's kind of like, would fuck with the atmosphere a little bit if there was like loud TV sports stuff. You don't want to, you don't want to distract people if you're like really trying to focus on like a nice cocktail experience. Anyway, but one thing we were talking about is baseball is so low key. You could just put a TV up and just put 162 Royals games on. Just no volume, no commentary, just in the background. It's like a painting, just watching these guys play baseball. And then that way during Chiefs season, we would be able to watch the fucking games whenever they happen to be when we were open and not on Sunday. Because this is a godless country now. Anyway, long digression there.
Yeah. No, it's definitely way less stressful. Even watching football games at home is legitimately stressful for me. Like, it always comes down to the wire, and it's like they got fucking 5 minutes to get across the field. It's like, oh, like, I don't know. It's so stressful, which I get is why it's like, so popular. But baseball is just so much more low key. It's like, da-da-da-da-da-da, or you know what I'm saying? Like, hit the ball. Like, it's just more fun. I don't know. It's more wholesome for some reason to me. I just like the sport more. But shout out to you, Mike. Really appreciate that, man.
That sports analysis spot on. I don't know if that's sarcasm. People, I don't know that much about sports. I try and keep that transparent. So, but shout out to you, Darren.
You know a lot about football.
I don't see. That's the thing, though, Gavin, is I really don't know that much about football because every once in a while I'll start talking football with some guy that knows football, right? Like my dad listens to like hours, like the way we know politics. These guys know football, like, and they'll start talking about players from like 1992, and we need to run this kind of strategy where it's like this guy's gonna weave in and out. Like, I mean, I know 11 men on each side, and I can name most of the positions. Okay, I know the rules of functional football and all that shit, but. I'm not an expert, especially when it starts coming to like play formations and like, different strategies and that kind of thing. I'm like, I'm a fan when it comes to that kind of shit. But anyway.
Sure. Well, you definitely know more than I do. So
this is Gavin never watches football.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much, man. Really appreciate that. Darren, and thank you so much, Diablo. Really appreciate the $4.99. Thank you so much. The perception that there are no grown-ups is the first indication that you have grown up. I think there's some truth to that for sure, Diablo.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. And it is funny because you constantly do look around at everybody now and you're just like, oh, yeah, you're just like an older person. Like, you're older than me. Fucking like, unless you're like old, like geriatric, you're like, how old is this guy? Like, I got a homie, Logan, that comes into the bar, right? And we both thought each other were like 30, right? Like, I was like, what the fuck? How did you think I was like 30? He was like, I didn't fucking know you were bartending. Most people bartend are a little older. I was like, well, he's like, how the fuck did I look 30? I was like, because you're like 7 feet tall and you have a full beard. And I was like, I don't know how the fuck old this guy's. So I think there is some truth to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, I think he also might be referring to the fact that the people in charge, technically they're adults, but sometimes it feels like, they're all like just a bunch of children. Like when you're kids, you think that like, oh, the people in charge know what they're doing. They're smart and they have our best interests at hearts. And then you grow up and realize that, nope, that's not the case. We live in a fundamentally broken society. No one's coming to save the day and we're all going to die. Like, that's the harsh reality.
It's kind of like when you realize that for almost all of human history, everybody of note that we read about and everybody else also was basically piss hammered on wine and fermented alcohol.
Yeah, absolutely. That's also true.
The whole biblical era, those people were drinking wine instead of water. So they were
Why the fuck do you think they wrote the Bible? Have you read that shit? It's crazy.
They were all drunk as hell.
Yeah, probably on a few other things too,
like mushrooms and shit. Like,
yeah.
People like it's not discussed, but if you go back and read it, like people were getting fucked up like crazy, and then just running the government. Like ancient Greece, wild.
Yep. Also, shout out to you, Mike. Really appreciate that.
Oh yeah, we do embrace the sports guard. That's why we still do it for all 10 of you that like it. And we always will, as long as it's football season. 16 to 19 weeks a year, y'all get to hear the sports guard. And other than that, it has to be a really big fight going down.
Oh yeah, and I totally agree. Embrace the sports guard. It's one of the more unique elements of our show. And again, as we were talking about yesterday, we're not afraid to talk about our interests, our non-political interests on the show. We're not above talking about politics, we're not above talking about movies or music or sports. Like, guess what? That's we want to talk about the fucking proletariat. That's the shit that, normal people care about. Obviously they care about politics too, but like your average normie is not sitting around thinking about fucking Katie Porter running for Senate or whatever. Like, people also want to hear about relatable interests, and that's why we don't shy away from talking about them.
Absolutely. And so much so that a lot of times our show just becomes bantering with you guys instead of covering the actual news, which I am so a fan of. Like, I'm loving that model of doing the show. It's how we've been able to do these marathon streams. Like, Gavin and I used to do like 55-minute streams, guys, like straight up. And now we're like, yeah, if it doesn't go for 2 hours, I'm like, that was brief. If it goes for like, we're getting to the point where we're going to be like 3-hour streamers. And then, who knows what the future will hold after that if we really start to grind it out and get those like fucking ergonomic chairs, start doing like, 38-hour live streams. No, I'm kidding.
I need some Adderall for that.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, don't worry, Gavin. It's 2023. You got one doctor's appointment away from all the all the pharmaceuticals you could want. Just start going in there, just like, yeah, really can't focus on anything, guys. It's really fucking hard for me, and it makes me emotional. And then the doctor will give you whatever the fuck you want. That's the crime of America. The way we've set up our fucking things is that, like, you can get any fucking drug you want from any doctor, basically, if you know how to go in there and act a little bit. Which it's not the doctor's fault 100%, because what all they're doing is they see you for like 5 minutes, they take one look at somebody, and they're like, oh, I'm supposed to try and help this person. Here's what they're telling me. I'm taking it in, good faith, and then here you can have like fucking Xanax or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? So. Anyway,
also sometimes they're getting kickback from those pharma companies.
This isn't a problem for me though, because I don't have health insurance. So I'm like, I can't go to the doctor anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Shout out to all the super chatters. Really appreciate that, guys. I guess we can move into the Diamond and Silk story. This one is a little bit depressing. I'm not gonna lie. It's easy to make fun and to point out the obvious irony, and all that. But yeah, Diamond of Diamond and Silk is deceased. Rest in peace. COVID still killing 2,000 Americans a week. Just because people ignore it does not mean it has gone away. And that is true. That is a sobering reminder, That's like what a 9/11's worth of Americans dead every week. People don't really talk about that much anymore. And obviously no one wants to be the annoying guy. Like, you need to put on a mask at this point in the pandemic. Like, yeah, I get it. Most people have moved on. I've moved on. You're not going to catch me wearing a mask in most places unless I'm on like a fucking airplane or something. So I guess I'm part of the problem in that sense. But it is still true. And we should keep in mind that, yeah, like there's literally still a raging pandemic that's killing 2,000 Americans every year. And it has now claimed the life of Diamond, again, of Diamond and Silk. If you guys aren't aware, Diamond and Silk are basically, or they were a duo of two African-American ladies who were huge Trump supporters, big Trump supporters. That's kind of how they gained fame and recognition among the right-wing media. Very pro-Trump commentary duo. Former President Donald Trump broke the news in a message Monday night on his Truth Social site, writing that Lynette Hardaway, that's her actual name, has passed away. He said that, I guess the statement's not here, but the duo's official Twitter account confirmed Hardaway's death shortly afterwards, writing that the world just lost a true angel and a warrior patriot. Her exact age was not clear, but she probably was about 51 years old. Diamond blazed a trail founded on her passion and love for the entire race of humanity. The memory of her passing should forever remain in our hearts in this time of grief. Please respect the privacy, yada, yada, yada. My Pillow founder Mike Lindell told the Daily Beast that Trump's post was the first he'd heard of Hardaway's death. And I think they had like a show on the Pillow guy's little shitty network. He has like a, Mike Lindell TV or whatever. And I guess their show was on that. Now I will say, and I realized this after I made the headline, so apologies. It actually has not been confirmed that she died of COVID. That's the speculation. And the fact that they're not being transparent about what the cause of death was is leading many people, including myself, to believe that it was COVID. And of course, the reason why they wouldn't want people to know that it was COVID is because Diamond and Silk have been notorious anti-vaxxers. They called the coronavirus a hoax. Clearly not a hoax, right? Clearly not a fucking hoax. So, of course, this is reminiscent of Herman Cain's death, another prominent pro-Trump anti-vaxxer who died of the coronavirus. And, there's been a number of these characters, people that have made a lot of money profiting off of anti-vax and, COVID conspiracy theories, that kind of content, only to have their own lives taken by the virus. So again, it's easy to point out the irony and to say, well, she deserved it because she profited off of this misinformation and these conspiracy theories. But I'm not going to lie. It's more than anything. It's just depressing, right? It's just depressing. Diamond and Silk, while I never understood their popularity, they were never very talented communicators or commentators, in my opinion. And needless to say, I massively diametrically opposed to their political positionings. They seemed like nice women. They didn't seem like mean-spirited, evil people. I think they got wrapped up in this MAGA world. And once they got a taste of fame and a taste of that, approval from the establishment or whatever, they kind of just ran with it and got embroiled into this world, which unfortunately seemingly led to Diamond's demise.
Yeah, it is. It's mostly just sad, right? And look, I mean, this is the whole problem with the way that the media rewards this kind of content, right? Is that it will get regular good-natured people, because you're totally right. Like there are Trump supporters, like MAGA people, that I'm like, you're genuinely hateful. Like, you genuinely are a hateful person. And I wasn't like massively familiar with Diamond and Silk's content. I think we reacted to it at one point back in the day, maybe, or maybe I just came across it on Twitter because I was familiar with them when I saw that she died. But yeah, not a hateful person, either of them seemingly, but just, I think you're 100% right. Got caught up in the media machine, was being like massively rewarded, and also, it's just intoxicating, right? Like, how many people have a family member or like know of somebody that they go down the rabbit hole on the internet, and then it feels like they're discovering somebody or something, they're like unearthing something that's never been known, or that they have the secrets on. And that was what the Donald Trump, Alex Jones, sloppy Steve Bannon entire nebulous was meant to do. It was meant to prey on people that they could convince that they were in on some kind of secret, that they were fighting some, kind of cabal. And, people got swept up into it. But yeah, you know what? COVID's real. It's something that we got to live with. And, hey, it's kind of like wear your seatbelt, like, because car crashes are real. Like, let's just take little steps to, make sure that, we're not needlessly, passing away before our time.
Right. So yeah, kind of depressing stuff, to be honest. Yeah. Also, shout out to you, Diablo. Really appreciate the $4.99. Well, now that we're getting into the question of whether we should consider drugs, inebriants, or antidotes to social intoxication, into the question of whether, I mean, it depends on your like why you're using them, right? I think a lot of people do use drugs as antidotes to social intoxication. I like your articulation, by the way, Diablo. I like the way you phrased that. That's a good turn of phrase. But I mean, I think it just kind of depends on what context you're using drugs in, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, look, all medication is a drug, right? Like, and a bigger part of it is, and if you read the guys that are like experts on addiction, they're going to talk to you so much about it's more about your relationship to the substance than it is the substance itself, because the substance could be anything, right? And typically it's just about, like, you build like a interpersonal relationship with that substance, and then that would become like a crisis moment for your life. Like, you can't survive without it. Like, it like subsumes you, and then that's what we call like broad, substance addiction, right? But on the other hand, and I didn't mean to like take a shot at Xanax, right? Like, I know that helps some people who have extreme cases of anxiety, and if your doctor actually knows you and has treated you for a long time, it can be massively beneficial. But it's also just one of the drugs like Adderall or Vyvanse. It gets massively what's the word, abused, overprescribed, and it becomes a substance abuse problem for people. And even if it's a minor one and it doesn't take over your whole life, I certainly don't think that they're very healthy. But that being said, I know a lot of people that they take medication on the daily, and they have good relationship with their therapist and their doctor, and they really are able to help themselves be balanced out that way. So I'm not trying to paint with a broad brush here. And honestly, a big problem and a big reason why people self-medicate and they don't have good relationships with a doctor and a therapist is because you have to have good insurance to have that. And on top of having good insurance, you actually have to have some bread to go with it, because that shit is all expensive. Buying your medicine is expensive. Going to a therapist is expensive. Going to the doctor is expensive. Going back to the doctor, going back to the therapist. These things only really work over time. So that's why, you don't see a lot of poor people doing that. It's not because they don't want to get help. It's not because they don't want to get better. It's because a lot of the opportunities to get better there's a massive financial barrier there. So then you go back to just, self-medicating, which is a dangerous, project, because, you're not a fucking doctor. And also you're going to have your own sympathies, and you're going to have your own like misunderstanding about things. And if you don't have somebody there to be like, hey, like, this is not a responsible way to live your life. Like, do you want to fuck up, your entire future? Like, it's a slippery slope, I say. So, I mean, obviously it depends on the patient. It depends on what the person's dealing with. And it also depends on the substance, right? Like, but anyway, shout out to you, Diablo, giving us the deep shit to think about.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Diablo. Really appreciate that, man. And thank you once again, Christina, for the $4.99. Thank you so much, Christina. Diane Feinstein doesn't know she's in DC. She's been lost for 10 years. Yeah. That is the unfortunate reality of the situation. If anyone has a family member with dementia or memory issues, obviously it's very, depressing. But needless to say, you don't belong in a position of power if you're suffering from those kind of cognitive issues. I think most people would agree with that, which is why it is just straight up disgraceful that Dianne Feinstein remains in Congress or in the Senate to this day. Like, this is a powerful person. This is not just like representative number 400. Like, she's a very powerful person, one of the most powerful people in the country. So it's pretty fucking disgraceful that she hasn't gracefully stepped down and instead has decided to cling to power for seemingly no reason other than narcissism or ego, or I don't know. Maybe she feels like if she retires, then that's accepting the fact that her life is over. I mean, I can understand that to an extent. Once your career is over, being like, well, I guess that's it. That's a wrap. That must be a depressing thing to confront.
That's why I'm glad we became podcasters, because it doesn't matter. I'll be too old to know how many people are watching. I'll just have, some young person lie to me about how big our audience is. And then, I'll just keep, rambling in circles and circles until one of us dies.
Absolutely.
Shout out to you, Jay. Really appreciate the generous super chats today, man. Always good to hear from you. Met up with a friend from high school recently, and we talked about how that time feels like 5 minutes ago. Yeah, I think that's just how it is for everybody, right? Because you think back to like that last time of innocence when you don't have all these responsibilities, the crushing anxiety about like how you're gonna fucking figure everything out. You're just living for the time back then. Gavin and I were having a blast when we were in high school. No, we still have a blast together now. We're lucky, but we had a fucking great time when we were in high school, and we were not like giving a fuck about anything. You know what I mean? So yeah, you had a midlife crisis at 40, but decided to live it up and enjoy every day. You got this. Thanks for the words of wisdom. And yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to bitch too much. We've got a really good thing going on here with the show and whatnot, but it is, the pressure starts to mount as you age to like accomplish these things. And I know in the back of my mind that there is no like ethereal success that you can reach. It's all about just like trying to be a good person, build community, like sustain your life, all that kind of shit, right? But it doesn't keep the like fucking voice out of the back of your head when you're like going to bed being like, well, have you really fucking given it everything? You only get to live one time. Like, you're like, fuck, I gotta do more.
Yeah, no, I feel that, Jay, and I think you reached the right conclusion. Just to live it up and enjoy every day. But I can totally relate, man. Like, I have a I'm only 24, so this sounds so ridiculous, but like I genuinely have like existential crisis like on a fucking daily basis. Like, I am so afraid of not dying. Like, I don't care if I'm dead. I'm dead. Who cares? Like, I won't be here to care. Obviously, I will cease to exist. But getting closer and closer, and like the Grim Reaper fucking creeping up behind you, like the distance between you and him just fucking slowly it's terrifying. It's fucking terrifying. So I totally relate to the midlife crisis thing, even though I'm fucking 24. I really just try my best to live slowly. So many people rush through life. They're always waiting for the next thing. They're always, refusing to live in the moment. I really try hard the older I get to just live slowly, like just take a deep breath, meditate, take my time meandering down to the coffee shop. So, take, smelling the roses, all that shit. So I feel you, Jay. Thank you so much for the super chat. Really generous of you. And yeah, like I said, ever since I graduated high school, I felt like it's just been a blur. Sometimes I feel like I, just graduated high school a week ago or something. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? But thank you so much, man.
Yeah, shout out to you, Jay, and shout out to you, Diablo. So follow this to its conclusion. How are psychedelics an antidote to the intoxication of social and environmental pressures? Like, look, I'm actually not, I'll be honest with you guys. I'll show, I actually don't love tripping that much. Like, I am not the kind of guy that wants to take a bunch of mushrooms and then fucking blast off. Every single time I take mushrooms, except like maybe one time I had a good time. Every other time I'm like, fuck, dude, I wish this was over. I ate too many. Like, that time we did acid together was fucking terrible. Like, I'm just like, it's not fun for me. I'm not one of those, like, I know homies, they'll be like, I just took 3 tabs of acid and like now I'm walking around and having a good time and like shopping at a thrift store. And I'm like, what the hell's the matter with you, bro? I can't do that shit. No.
Yeah.
Like maybe once every 5 or 6 years, just to like have an ego death and like have a fucking existential crisis and take stock of my entire life. If that's what I'm trying to do for a Saturday, it's like, I don't know why the fuck I want to spend 8 hours in like fucking emotional duress. But People will say
crazy.
I'm overdosing. I know. I was like, man, you should take less. But I'm like, every time it's like, here's something, fucking try it out. Give it another shot. Come on, bro. I'm like, all right, fuck it. I'm not a pill. I'll fucking do it. Just whatever. It's not gonna kill me. Then I'm like, fuck, 8 hours to this? No way. I'm not. I don't know. Like, I know
Yeah.
people like it, but for me, nah.
No, I'm the same boat. And especially like it's easy to romanticize these drugs after reading a bunch of like Hunter S. Thompson and Terrence McKenna and stuff. So you try to convince yourself it's going to be fucking awesome. And for some people it is. Like you said, a lot of people take acid and they go to concerts and they do all kinds of stuff. But the reality for me, and I guess for you too, Zach, is that it's fucking terrifying. Fucking terrifying. It feels like you lost all control of your mind. And I guess that some people would say that means that, you know, I've need to do some work and some inner fucking ego death bullshit or whatever, and that's fine. And I have had valuable experiences with psychedelics. I'm not saying I would take them back. I have had interesting realizations and profound experiences and all that stuff. But the reality of the situation is it's fucking terrifying. And usually as soon as it starts, I want it to be over. But there's no off switch. So yeah, psychedelics are crazy. Maybe I should take less if I do them again in the future. Or in a situation with like a shaman or, you know, something like that, where it's a little bit more structured and where you feel like you're with people that like can take care of you if something goes wrong. But yeah, I get so paranoid. It gets really scary really fast.
Here's why they're actually extremely useful from what I've seen from like actual medical studies, right? So obviously people who have PTSD and any kind of like post-traumatic stress or post-traumatic like depression, that because your body has self-defense mechanisms where it like creates a lot of inhibitions, walls, to where it makes it like, if you take shrooms or like, you know, whatever, like psilocybin as I guess the correct like, you know, actual chemical component, that it like removes those inhibitions and it makes you way more vulnerable, which to a regular person you're like, that's scary. I don't want to have all of my emotions just free flowing around like this. And like, you know, my whole childhood coming back to me and like everything I've ever felt like fucking uncomfortable about, like just surfacing. But you could see how if you're doing intense, deep therapy with a patient that like has or a therapist that you've, you know, built an extreme relationship of trust with, and you're dealing with extreme trauma like war or like rape and sexual assault or like intense battery or something like that. Yeah, that makes sense, right? And I'm not saying it has to be that extreme. Like, we had a really good conversation with a woman who had extremely bad postpartum depression.
Right.
What was her name? Melissa, I believe.
Melissa something or another. Yeah.
I think it was
Lavasani. Yeah.
Yeah, she was in DC for a DC decriminalizing mushrooms. We chatted with her. She was a very nice woman. Anyway, she had horrible postpartum depression, right? And they were able to treat her, she was able to meet with like a shaman therapist that was able to help her treat her. And now she's, you know, much more, just feels much better and is able to, you know, lead a happy life and, you know, all that kind of jazz. So it definitely has a place. It's just like, fuck, like, you know, it's not, I mean, I don't have those intense, like traumatic events. So it's not for me. Like I always say, it's like, I like to smoke a little bit of weed. I like to drink a couple of beers. I don't like anything more intense than that. I like
Same.
like I am a little stoned right now because it's my birthday and I'm taking the day off, but I don't like getting more stoned than this, right? Like you take
Same.
then you're like, oh, now I'm fine. I'm like, I'm feeling fucking good. It's like I had a beer. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I'm feeling, but anything that makes me like lose my mind where I'm like, I can't fuck with that. I don't want to not have control of I can't fuck with that. Like, no.
Yeah. No, I'm the same way. Even getting too high is sometimes too much for me. And it's easy to do if you like take a tea break and then you rip a bong and all of a sudden you're like, fuck, this is not fun anymore. But anyway, shout out to you. And also thank you so much, Diablo. That's so generous of you. We really appreciate the kind contribution, man. 99.99. This was legit good feedback. Thank you. You boys are doing good work. Well, thank you so much, man. Like I said, really appreciate that. Glad you enjoyed the feedback, and really enjoyed the questions you posed to us in the first place. Very thought-provoking stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And Gavin and I are by no means like fucking, you know, prohibitionists when it comes to, you know, psilocybin mushrooms, even if you want to take acid or research chemicals. Basically, you can put whatever the fuck you want in your own body. Whether you can sell that and distribute it at scale is something that we would get into a regulation bit about. But I'm not necessarily interested in putting anybody in jail for making substances unless they're killing people, right? But you know, I just think we should have honest conversations about that. I know some people are really gung-ho on the psychedelics. So I always like to be like, hey man, when I first tried psychedelics, I'd read all the gung-ho shit, and I was like, fuck yeah, this is going to be amazing. It's going to change my life. And then I just cried so much, and I was like, fuck, I don't want to do this anymore. Like,
Yeah. No, 100%. And yeah, I mean, there are people I know, like our homie Dalton, who can easily just drop like 4 tabs of acid and go about his day and, listen to music and walk around and have a jolly old time. And that's the way it is for a lot of people. And that's awesome. Like, if that's your experience, then enjoy. Of course it should be legal. Of course it should be legal. That goes without saying. All drugs should be legal. Yeah, 100%. But thank you so much, Diablo. Really, really appreciate that, man.
Yeah, extremely generous donation. Really appreciate it. And appreciate just gabbing with you, man. I love hearing your thoughts in the chat. Shout out to you, Jay, coming in back. Jay Black, what's up? If our government made sure we all had masks and paid sick time and Medicare for all, it would be much easier to control COVID. Government inaction is the problem. Absolutely, 100%. And what do we notice about all these things, right? Is like, if you connect the dots to these fundamental pillars of inequality in this country, right? The fact that people don't have access to adequate health care, the fact that people don't have adequate access to homes, right? Like, I mean, people are living in crowded spaces. We have very commonly multiple generations of people living in the same roof now because rent is so expensive, because homes are astronomically expensive, right? It's out of reach for a lot of working class people. So you have grandma, grandpa, you have husband and wife, and then you have like children, right? And that's all spreading around. If harder to quarantine grandma and grandpa if the kids get sick, right? Well, we all live together. We're all sharing the same air, right? These things are all connected. If workplaces had more regulation, right? Paid sick time, but also just, more hazard caution, right? Like more control over, the things that could potentially endanger a workforce. If we had better regulation, like we see in countries in Europe, where striking is the norm and not the exception, it would have made all of these things less devastating to our country, right? The fact that we're not dealing with this, the fact that we're not addressing it, we're allowing it to go on. We're allowing 2,000 people to be gobbled up every week. That's going to be over 100,000 deaths at the end of the year. Can you guys think about that for a second? 110,000 people this year will die from COVID. And you could be like, well, people die from all kinds of shit. And it's like, that's true. But we could do something about this. And 100,000 motherfuckers is a lot. Okay. We destroyed an entire region of the Middle East because of 9/11, as Gavin pointed out. And now we're having almost a 9/11 every week from COVID. Or still, excuse me, I shouldn't even say now, but I mean, at this point, it was worse. It was worse than a 9/11 every week. There was a 9/11 every day for a while under COVID-19. They still didn't guarantee these rights for workers. It's absolutely despicable. It's shameful. But here we are.
Yeah, absolutely. The craziest thing to me, it always blew my mind that the first thing the U.S. government didn't do when COVID started was just send everyone masks. Like, why? What happened, bro? Like, not only did they not send out masks, but at the beginning, Fauci and the CDC, and they're recommending people not even wear them. I'm like, what the fuck? There's a genocide of fucking people. Clearly, all the Asian countries have it figured out. They were all masked up. They were masked up before the fucking pandemic even started. It's like just a normal thing to wear a mask in like Korea or China or whatever. But here in America, we're like, should we or should we not? Obviously, we fucking should have. And it's crazy the government didn't send masks ASAP to every. But yeah, and obviously, Medicare for all and paid sick time goes without saying. So thank you so much, Jay. Really appreciate that, man.
Yep. Shout out to you, Jay. And shout out to you, Christina. Wait till you turn 50, Zach. You're still super young. Yeah, thank God. Otherwise, I would just be sobbing for the entire hour. If I was 50, I would be like, fuck my life, guys. I can't believe this. I'd be a fucking mess right now. Oh my God. I can't think of the idea of being 50 right now. Oh, fuck. Like,
Hey. That being said, Hammock Lady, chimed in and said that they're 64 and having the best time of their life. Buddhism and mindfulness help. So, a lot of people find a lot of value and comfort in their more advanced age as well. So, I don't want to be down on the elderly or anything, but I do relate to that too, Zach.
Yeah, shout out to him, McLady. That's actually really good to hear. I feel like we don't hear enough from people who are your age that are talking about how good life is, right? Like, you know what I mean? I feel like, I don't know. Honestly, to be fair, we don't hear from many people in any age bracket talking about how good life is. So I really appreciate your burst of positivity, Hammock Lady, although I do think that might be, our lack of positivity throughout our lives might be indicative of some broader social problems. But I think that you're right that mindfulness helps, waiting and just figuring out how to be happy with where you're at, contention and all that kind of shit, because it goes back to, I mean, it's funny because you don't want to sound like you're one of those Silicon Valley bros that's all into like stoicism and whatnot and like, abandoning possessions and like spending 6 weeks in Nepal and then thinking like you're woke and whatever. But I do think that there's a lot to be learned from like Buddhism and that kind of thing. Even though I'm a really, really secular person, I don't really get down with anything spiritual, which might have been my other problem with psychedelics. Don't fuck with anything spiritual. I'm like, I'm more of like, when it comes to that, I'm like, yeah, there's a bunch of chemical reactions going on. You know what I mean? But anyway, shout out to you, Christina, one of our favorite Vanguard listeners, and always appreciate hearing from you.
Yeah, that is true. Thank you so much, Christina. Really appreciate it. And thank you once again, Jay. That's so nice of you. Really appreciate the $5. Thank you both for spending some of your lives giving us this excellent content. If legislative leftists were on your page, U.S. life would be better. Well, that's so kind of you to say, Jay. Thank you so much. And don't thank us. Thank you, not just you, Jay, but everyone for tuning in, everyone for being a part of the Vanguard community and our audience. Zach and I are just doing what we always have done, which is talking shit, bouncing our opinions off of one another, discussing our thoughts. You guys are actually what makes this show anything more than just that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, fuck, it's absolutely insane that we were able to build an audience, because the great part about, the mild, like minutia of success that we've had, and we owe every ounce of that to the people that are listening to the show right now, is the fact that we really did get to experience like a good year of like no traction at all, like just working really hard and not getting it going anywhere. And then like both me and Gavin and I being like, no, this is going to work out. We are not throwing in the towel. And then getting the people that love you in your life being like, hey, are you sure you really want to keep pursuing this? Like, I remember my sister being like, this isn't really probably what you're going to be doing, like, what are your other plans? And like, my sister like has never been anything but supportive to me, but just like, giving you that realistic nudge, like, hey, like, are you sure you think? And then the show kind of got to the point where everybody shut the fuck up about that. You don't really hear of like, hey, are you sure you're going to keep doing this show? It's like, no, we are. Like, these people come and listen to us, So anyway, shout out to you.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're so proud of the audience we've built and the community that we've built. We love, chatting with you guys so much and hearing your opinions as well on all the stuff we talk about. It means so much to us that you guys tune in and like chatting with us and all that stuff.
I just want to chime in one more time. And I think what's different about our model, at least what we try and do here at the Vanguard, is like, I feel like most streamers, like they have a very like a different relationship. Like chat is like one block to like most people, right? But I feel like what's unique about our stream is that we are small, and so like maybe if we ever grew, like this would change. We're gonna try our best to make sure that we always like keep it flowing like this. I don't see why it has to change, right? But like chat is just like an ethereal block to them, right? It's just like, oh, people who like congratulate me and like tell me I'm great, and then I ban you if you start to dissent, right? But I feel like every single one of the people that listens to the Vanguard and chats and engages with regularly, like I'm looking, like I see Hammock Lady, I see Polar Burr, I see Cassandra Lynch, Eric W. I'm seeing a bunch of people, Kevin, Squisher King, ML, I've seen you before. I'm just going through the line. All these people, Carrie Scott, I've seen before. All the people that, I mean, fuck if I know. Jamie, I see you there. All these different kinds of people that I'm like, you guys, like, I know vaguely what kind of shit you guys are going to talk about when you're in the chat, what kind of perspective, pushback you're going to get. Jay Black, we've seen you in the stream a lot recently. Different kinds of people. Like we get to have a real relationship with our audience because of the way that our show functions, because of the way that we have organized all of this. And I feel like that makes it more of a community, right? Like everybody wants to call their show a community, but it's like, no, I actually know who you guys are. Gavin knows who you guys are to an extent, like to the extent that you know who we are. You know what I mean? Like it's an actual back and forth conversation. It's a dialogue. It's a debate and discourse at times, a dialectic, if you want to be fancy. But that's what we try and really engage with. And that's what we try and build. So while we're not like the smallest show, we hope we are like the most, community oriented.
Absolutely. 100%. And that's one of the cool things about having a slightly smaller show. It's that if you watch like fucking Hassan or something, the chat's just like it's just going by so fast you can't even read it. There's not really any point of even like contributing in that way because it's just like it's just gone. And obviously would I like to have a larger audience than the one we have right now? Like, of course, we're always trying to grow the show and attract new viewers and all that stuff. But the one really cool thing about having a fairly small knit community of people is exactly, what you just mentioned, Zach, that we get to know you all. And, it does feel like a community, and it does feel like we're not just chatting with each other, but with you guys as well. So we do really, really appreciate that. And shout out to you, by the way, Lindiana Jones, for the $2. Thank you so much. We love you guys. We love you guys too. Straight up. So honored that you guys tune in and care about what we have to say.
Yeah, and also it's so tight that people, from really, we have a really diverse community, guys. There is so much hegemony. If you go to basically any other show that is remotely similar to ours, there is so little disagreement. It's like everybody towing a specific line. Like, we have people with all different thoughts, rationales, backgrounds. We're not just like all 25-year-old bros that look and think like me and Gavin. Like, we have a really diverse group of listeners, people from every age bracket. We have people from all socioeconomic backgrounds, all kinds of shit. It's amazing. It's so tight. And also love the Indiana Jones reference. I was waiting for Gavin to point that out. Gavin fucking loved Indiana Jones when we were kids. Like, still loves it. But this dude would like dress up as Indiana Jones at recess and like put on a fedora.
All right. I was like fucking obsessed with the Indiana Jones movies as a kid.
Gavin.
Yeah, no, it was weird, but and I still do. I straight up think that the Raiders of the Lost Ark specifically, but Temple of Doom and Last Crusade 2 are like the best action adventure movies ever made. Like, that is a firmly held opinion I have. I think that Raiders of the Lost Ark is Steven Spielberg's best movie. I think that there's no other adventure action movies that even come close to touching those films. And I'm interested to see how the new one is going to be. I can't say that I'm terribly optimistic, but I am still kind of morbidly curious to see how that turns out. I like James Mangold. He's a good director. He's made almost nothing but consistently really high quality films. So I'm interested to see how that turns out. It's going to be interesting to see. Did you see the trailer for that one? It's called Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, which is a kind of stupid name.
I was about to bring that up, but I was like, I don't want to burst your bubble, bro. But it gives Kingdom of a Crystal Skull a run for its money, as far as like my expectations are going to be low, and it won't have the added bonus of Shia LaBeouf, right? Who I guess we don't stand Shia anymore. He's done too many bad things. I'm sorry, I can't bring that up anymore. But anyway, yeah, I actually agree with you that it's hard for me to think of a better, like, in that style, like, action adventure movie, like really made for children, but like takes itself 100% seriously. Like, it's not like made for children, but it's like, it's a family kind of action adventure movie. You know what I mean? It's not just like a slaughter fest or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like an actual like adventure. It really embodies the adventure movie spirit in like the perfect way. The theme song is like fucking perfect. And to be fair, when I saw Kingdom of the Crystal Skull with my dad and my sister when it came out, and I was fucking terrified of those ants. Gotta give that one the ants. The ants scared the shit out of me. Scared the shit out of me. This would have been like what, 2008 when that came out?
Yeah, 2008. Yep. Honestly, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, it pales in comparison to the first three films. But it's not as bad as its reputation would suggest. Like, some people get a little bit carried away with their negativity towards that film. It's definitely flawed, but it's not as bad as you might think if you've heard like some of the negativity surrounding it. You know what I'm saying? It's really not, but still nowhere near as good as the first three. That goes without saying. Anyway, shout out to you. Really appreciate the $2, Lindiana Jones. And shout out to you, Kiam McQuaid. Really appreciate the $5. Longtime lurker, but I love being part of the Vanguard community. Thanks for making it possible, guys. Well, thank you again. Don't thank us. We thank you. You're the one tuning in. We really appreciate you being part of the community. And shout out to all the lurkers out there that, I've always been a lurker myself. I've never been someone that's active in chats. I watch a lot of live content and a lot of, stuff on YouTube, obviously. But I've never been someone that comments a lot or participates in the live chat or anything like that. So shout out to all the lurkers in the Vanguard community too, that, don't make themselves known.
Yeah, I also was a huge lurker, which is why I'm astonished at how we've been able to somehow compel all of you guys to actually chat and engage with us, because I was like really worried about that. That's why when I initially when I think when we initially conceived the show, we didn't really conceive it with a live audience until later on. We did all of those interviews
Right.
just pre-recorded on Zoom, and
The
then
pit stop politics. Remember
the
those
pit stop
on
politics,
Zoom?
the Sunday morning news dumps.
Yeah.
We had all kinds of different crazy ideas. It's kind of fun actually to go down memory lane, because
It is.
if you watch the old episodes, and maybe we can play a clip of a little bit of like the really old Vanguard before we leave today, just to give you guys a taste of it, because it's true that we have really developed, we've sharpened
yeah.
our knives over
Oh,
here
yeah.
at the Vanguard, as far as being entertainers, as far as being hosts on a microphone. It's not something that you really get to practice at throughout your regular life until you just decide that this is what you want to do. Anyway, long story short, Gavin and I were lurkers also. We love all the lurkers. But if there's one show where we're like, hey, like actually engage, because we'll see it. We're not talking like you guys are super generous with super chatting us, but we're also compelling everybody. Like if there's like you don't have to super chat us to engage. Like we try really hard to watch everybody on the chat, and sometimes if we get like in the wormhole and there's like 500 or 600 of you, sometimes it goes too fast and you'll see me and Gavin get a little distracted. But it's because we genuinely care what your guys' feedback is, and we're trying to process it in real time and have good discussions and tailor it towards the conversation that the chat's having, because you guys are our bread and butter. You guys are our real audience. So anyway, shout out to you, Kiam. Really appreciate you.
Yeah, straight up. Also, I want to say shout out to you, Tyler. Always see you in the chat. Even though you disagree with us on Force the Vote, we still really appreciate you for being part of our community as well, and always, being there in the chat, and sometimes liking our stuff on Twitter, stuff like that. It means a lot, man. So really appreciate you too, Tyler. And everyone else too, not just Tyler, but I just wanted to specifically shout him out because I always see you active in the chat. And a huge shout out to M Meal. Really appreciate the generosity, M Meal. Happy birthday, Zach. Have a blunt on me. Do either of you have a consumption preference for cannabis? Since I consume every day, I've come to love the volcano and small doses of edibles to try to save my heart and lungs. Lifelong pothead, almost 40. Again, shout out to you, Emil. Thank you so much for the generous $50. That's very supportive, very generous of you. As far as me, I'm just kind of a traditionalist, just hit the pipe or hit the bong. Not much more fancy than that. I like vaporizers, but something, I don't know, there's just too much going on with like charging the battery and emptying the thing and cleaning it out. Like at the end of the day, I really, you can't beat just a nice pipe or a nice bong, in my opinion. But I will say, I totally see what you're saying about the heart and the lungs thing. It's not good to inhale smoke. So perhaps as I get older, I will switch to vaporizing my cannabis, or doing edibles. Edibles actually never really work for me. So not edibles. Literally, edibles just do not affect me for whatever reason, for the most part in my experience. So yeah, shout out to you, Emil. That's what I would say. What about you, Zach?
Yeah, shout out to you, Emil. Really appreciate that generous super chat. Yeah, when you go to the marijuana quack, the cannabis quack, the guy that gives you your med card, they do tell you that, like, hey, deep inhalation of fucking, smoke is smoke, and this is not different than like inhaling tobacco smoke as far as like how it affects your lungs. Which is why, Gavin, you'll probably notice I've gotten fucking obsessed with these things that I found on the internet, that are carbon filtration systems that you can get, that were like designed after pot became medicinally legalized, because basically what it does is it like double filters through this, and I'm sure it doesn't save you like fucking all the damage that it's doing, but I talked to the guy about it and he was like, yeah, you're gonna really 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 feel a lot better if you use these. And I don't smoke. I try not to smoke like a ton of weed, right? Like I try not to go crazy, like smoking big fat blunts and shit like that ever. I just mostly like recently I actually started to roll more, because I've read that's better for
really,
yeah, smaller level amounts of consumption, just because I'm trying to get down to where I'm like, really only using like my medicine stash, for like when I'm like trying to control my, like, because I got, for transparency issues, guys, like I get like tremors a lot just because I got bad ADHD, and so my fucking hands and shit shake. So I try and like have like a low, THC indica be my fucking new go-to, because I've also been getting paranoid about my lungs and shit and meal, and I don't want to be like one of those like stoner guys that's like coughing and up and shit. So I've been trying to, over the last like couple months, been trying to take better care of myself, and that's one of the things I've been working on also. And I just don't like fucking vapes and that kind of shit. With Gavin, what he said, it's like I'm a traditionalist, so I'd rather just cut back. And
we've both done a good job of cutting back in the last couple months as far as cannabis go. We used to be like hardcore stoners, and now it's like I think we are both a little more healthy with the moderation.
Dude, way more healthy. Gavin and I used to smoke like a fucking fiend, like a chimney, and now I smoke like just a little bit, and
Yeah.
it's way better for your life.
It's
guys.
way better.
Way better.
It
for your
is
life.
way better. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much, Emil. Really do appreciate you. That's so generous of you. And speaking of generosity, thank you, Michael, for the $50. Also, don't spend it all in one place. Hee hee. We'll try not to, man. We'll try not to. With inflation the way it is, sometimes, like you go to fucking lunch with your girlfriend. It's like, oops, $50 apparently down the drain because we live in a society. But yeah, we'll try our best not to spend it all in one place. Thank you so much for your generosity, Michael.
Yeah, shout out to you, Michael. Really appreciate you. I think that was a little bit more of a joke, but I don't think Michael really cares where we spend it. I appreciate you, Michael. This was a generous super chat, and we really appreciate you guys. You guys have been so kind and generous with us. So basically throughout the entire time of our channel, despite how many times Gavin and I have shot our channel in the chest and just said, all right, here it goes. We're burning it all to the ground again. Here we go. You guys have still come back and come through for us and, decided to listen to us. And we hope that we've developed a reputation of honesty with you guys because, that's the whole reason we did burn the channel down to, multiple times. Otherwise, we'd be out here doing like Jackson Hinkle kind of content for you because that's like the easiest way to gain clout and make money.
Right. Absolutely. So yeah, shout out to you, Michael. Really do appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for the generosity today. That's so nice of you guys. We really genuinely appreciate that. Also, I was looking for someone in the chat said Last Crusade was not good, the third Indiana Jones movie, and I'm like, bro, you gotta provide like some explanation for that take because that is not accurate.
LOL. Yeah, I liked The Last Crusade. I thought that Sean Connery was a good addition to the Indiana Jones cast, but I don't know.
It's so good. The first three are all masterpieces, in my opinion. 10 out of 10s. Easily. Also, speaking of Steven Spielberg, The Fabelmans is fire. Easily Spielberg's best movie in a long time, in my opinion. Like, easily a decade, if not a couple decades. Like, probably my favorite Spielberg movie since Catch Me If You Can, which came out in 2002, I think. So yeah, check that out if you guys haven't, if you like movies.
Yeah, I did like West Side Story, but I will check out Fabelmans also when
I like West Side Story too, but I far prefer The Fabelmans. Anyway, good stuff. Also, David Lynch is in it. Which is cool. Also, yeah, I have not seen Tar yet. I really, really want to. I missed it while it was in theaters, and I've been looking for an opportunity to see it. I've heard it's a masterpiece. I've heard Cate Blanchett is just amazing in it. So I can't wait to watch it. It looks really good. So yeah, shout out to you, Cassandra. Sorry. Really appreciate that. And shout out to you, Nikki, for the $1.99. Authenticity is why I am here. Yeah. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. And like Zach said, if there's one thing we want to be known for, it is our honesty. It is the fact that we will, happily lose hundreds and hundreds of subscribers if it means that we're going to be honest about our opinion on something, even if we know it's not going to be popular with our audience or with the YouTube, audience at large, whatever. So shout out to you, Nikki. Really appreciate you.
Yeah, shout out to you, Nikki. You guys have been crazy nice to us today, and so nice, in fact, that we haven't even gotten to our third titular story of the day, where Gavin is going to try and convince me, because I vaguely looked at this. I was watching The Sopranos when he sent it to me, so I was like, how I'm spending my day on my birthday is I'm finally making some progress on The Sopranos, because I don't like to watch The Sopranos if I'm going to have distractions going on. It's like, yeah, I just kind of want to sit down. It's like Twin Peaks: The Return. It's like one of those shows where it's like, no, you really kind of just have to sit down and watch The Sopranos. So, but Gavin did send that. I was like, okay, we have to react to this on the show. I see something about a Yeti, the CIA, and a TikToker. So win me over, Gavin. Sell me. Did the CIA take this guy out? I'm not opposed to believing it. We could turn this channel around.
Yeah. So you guys know I'm a little bit of a conspiracy theorist, and I do like to talk about stuff like UFOs and cryptids and all that stuff. I know that, Zach, you're a little bit more skeptical when it comes to that sort of subject matter. But I can't deny that I do enjoy some good conspiracy content, some good supernatural content, stuff like that. And this story is interesting. A lot of people have been discussing this online on TikTok, and it is a little bit sus, not going to lie. So this is more of a fun story, you guys, obviously, despite the fact that it unfortunately involves a man's untimely demise. That's the part of it that's not as fun. So I do feel bad for this guy. And obviously rest in peace. But this is a very, very weird story. As it says here, conspiracy. TikTok about a giant on a mountaintop is fueling unfounded rumors of a CIA assassination. Interesting stuff, guys. So check this out. A rumor spreading rapidly online claims that the CIA murdered a man over a video that supposedly showed a giant. Last spring, a man posted a TikTok of a giant atop a mountain in Canada. The footage is grainy and the figure is impossible to discern at the distance from which it was captured. Yet the TikTok quickly went viral, racking up 2 million views within days. As of this writing, it's been viewed 8 million times. So before we continue with this article, let's quickly check out the TikTok in question. And you can tell me what you think is going on in this before we get into the next part of the story, which is really the weird part of the story. You know, this on its own is not newsworthy in any way, shape, or form. But yeah, here's the video that started all of this.
What is it?
It's a person, dude. No, seriously, pull over, pull over.
No.
It's a person standing there.
No, it's not.
Dude, if you seen what I seen right now,
Bro, the TikTok music kills me in these videos.
Right? So again, on its own, you're probably like, that's not like, who cares? That's just some grainy video of what vaguely looks like a giant on top of a mountain. Big deal. Why the fuck are you talking about this? I get it.
Yep.
It's not. Yeah. But this is where it gets interesting. After that happened, Dawson followed up with some posts attempting to investigate the supposed creature. In subsequent posts, he claimed he'd been stopped by a CIA agent and that someone was following him. And some of those TikToks are available on his page. His name's Andrew Dawson. So you can check out some of those where he basically attempts to return to the scene in order to capture some more footage. And this is like in a national park in Canada somewhere. And he's stopped by CIA agents. Or what he said were CIA agents. I don't know if there's any confirmation of that, but they stopped him and basically told him to turn around and leave, and that the road was closed for, you know, some unspecified reason. Anyway, yeah, he followed up saying he'd been stopped by CIA agents. He also said that the giant had disappeared. He speculated it could possibly be a UFO. Did the thing on the mountain go home? He wrote. Weeks later, Dawson published a TikTok video admitting that it was all fake. And I wanted to share this with you guys and get your opinion on it, Zach, because a lot of people, myself included, have said that this does not seem terribly organic and that it almost feels like he's reading off a script, or it looks like a hostage video, essentially. So let's take a look at this, because after this really blew up, keep in mind, like this hella blew up after all the posts about the CIA stopping him and stuff like that. It really blew up. And then mysteriously, a week later, after not posting anything, he drops this video, which is again, doesn't come off as terribly natural, at least not to me, at least not to most people.
Hey guys, I just want to give you an update. I'm not dead. I have not disappeared. I have just been busy with life. I couldn't get around to posting and updating you guys. So now I'm going to give you an official update of what's been going on. Sorry to disappoint you guys, but all of the videos that I posted were scripted. They're just fake. They were just strictly for entertainment. Sorry to disappoint you guys. I just needed to give you a quick update. Hey guys. So
yeah, there's the video where he's basically like, actually, it was all fake. Looks off screen. It was all just a video. And then he posts this one a couple days later, which is where things really get interesting. He says, too much has happened and I can't be forced to be silent, and says this.
You might not see me post ever again. My videos weren't fake. You might not see me post ever.
So yeah, that was, I believe the last video he posted. And let's return to this article over here and find out about what happened to Mr. Dawson. Days later, he posted another TikTok insisting the previous videos about the giant and CIA were real. The caption on screen read, "I am scared." In it, he says, "You might not ever see me post again. My videos, they weren't fake." He posted one more time and then went silent. On July 1st, Dawson passed away. He was just 34 years old. Questions about the cause of his death and claims that the CIA was involved floated around the internet for months. So obviously, it's not actually a giant. Like, that's pretty dumb. Like, obviously, it's not a giant, but it is interesting, I think. And obviously, I'm not, actually committed to any of these conspiracy theories. I don't know what the fuck was going on. But something was going on that mountaintop, right? Something was fucking going on that mountaintop. And apparently they didn't want people to know about it because they were blocking off the roads. They had fucking CIA agents and shit. Here's another video. I think this one's the last one he ever posted, where he shows that there's, some weird fortress up there. Anyway, interesting story.
Yeah, I'm not sold on it. I'm coming in cold on this one. I'm not throwing water on your parade. Like, I'll let you, provide some pushback to my initial skepticism. But let me just lay out a couple of holes in that story that I think off the bat. One, I have no reason to trust this random TikToker, right? And I have no reason to believe that this guy, I don't know. I just have, anytime anybody really comes at you and they're like, yeah, man, the CIA took this guy out because he found Bigfoot. It's like, bro, come on, bro. Like, hey, man, in 1 million lifetimes on one of them, that guy gets whacked for. Like, if there are 1 million realities, on one of them, that guy gets whacked because he found Bigfoot and the CIA didn't want him to. I'll just put every cent I ever had and will make that guy was not whacked by the CIA. And I wouldn't even be surprised if in 6 months this guy shows up again. Okay, and it's like, you guys won't believe what I saw.
No, he's actually dead.
That's why I said I wouldn't be surprised if in 6 months this guy, you never heard of somebody faking their own death before? I'm just saying, I don't know. You think the guy was whacked by the CIA? Genuinely, gun to your head, you're pressing that button?
I'm not saying I know what's going on. I'm just saying he posted a video saying I might never post again. And by the way, it wasn't all fake. And clearly that other video, he was being coerced into making, I guess. And then he actually died. So he actually did die. Like, his family members on Facebook were like, sharing their, their obituaries and stuff. Like, I think there is an obituary out there. Like, he actually is dead. So again, I don't think it was actually a giant. But is it possible he stumbled upon something that he wasn't supposed to? Is it possible? Yeah, it's possible. Maybe something UFO related, as he speculated. Again, I don't know what's going on, but it is, as Tyler said, sus AF.
Dun, 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 dun. Okay, Indy came in and swooped. There were ancient artifacts up in the top of the mountain that had to be gotten, and this job required quiet. Anyway, I don't know. I'm gonna be honest and say that this gives me like fucking tinfoil hat energy.
Oh, definitely.
Like the InfoWars energy. It's like, oh yeah, there are all those people that dress up like owls and like fucking have their. I don't know. I'm just like, to me, it doesn't tread a lot. It's not one of those conspiracies that's got enough there. It's a little too Blair Witch Project wannabe for me.
Fair. I mean, if the guy hadn't have died right after posting that, it would be a non-story. Like, it would just be like, okay, this guy's, trying to drum up intrigue and make it seem like something's going on and all this
stuff.
Shrimp
in the cereal.
Yeah, exactly.
That guy died, then we would have had a story.
But the fact that he actually died, it's kind of sus, right? I mean, it's kind of sus. I don't know what's going on, but it's kind of sus. And also, shout out to you, Cassandra. You said my ex had a cabin in the woods and told me about a weird hidden dome government building. I didn't believe him. He embellished. So he took me, and 2 black limos came in, and we left. It was eerie. I love this kind of stuff, Cassandra. That's like fuel for my imagination. I love stuff like that. I'd like to make a movie about something like that, hidden government buildings and shit like that. Some of my favorite subjects of conversation and daydreaming and all that good stuff. But yeah, I don't know. Definitely a weird story. I mean, anytime someone posts a video saying, I'm, something that ominous, and then they actually die. It's just weird. But
And you don't think that, I mean, like I said, you got to consider all options or, all outcomes, right? All potential realities, right? And yes, Bruce, we saw the RBN video, LOL. And, you have to consider every reality, right? What if the guy just, I mean, I'm just saying, an attention seeker trying to fucking, I mean, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be the guy that's simping for the cops line, right? But I'm just like, if I was looking for attention and I was looking to like blow up on TikTok and, the guy's thing was scripted, but it was like also it could have been really easily just overacted. Like, oh, I'm trying to make this look like it's real something going on right now, guys. Oh my God. It's like, it's not that hard. It was like kind of shitty acting if it was acting, like really over, like, oh, because it doesn't even look like he's reading. It looks like he's like like he's looking at somebody who's holding him at gunpoint, right? Like, so to me, it just feels like overacting. It's just like, okay, like if you were reading off a line, you would just have it on a teleprompter or put it right in front of you and read it from here, right? Like I was actually watching a clip, there's this famous scene in Some Like It Hot, right, where Marilyn Monroe never learned her lines, and so she's on the telephone, but she's like reading, and the whole time you can watch her eyes go. And like that's convincing, like I'm just reading from a teleprompter if you want to do that. But this whole like, I know just about it.
Fair enough. I mean, obviously that's the rational, reaction. No denying that. And again, gun to the head. I'm not going to say that this guy actually found a giant and got killed by the sea. I'm just saying it's an interesting story. It's a little bit eerie. It's a little bit sus. Hopefully we get some more details at some point about what exactly was going on that mountain. But shout out to you, JFL Grappling Academy, for the $9.99. I think you have a high chatter retention. Is that you are kind and decent to chatters who disagree with you, unlike Hassan, who's very rude to chat, but his followers are masochistic. Yeah, I mean, it can definitely be entertaining to watch a streamer like Hassan or Vosh just like swat away their critics in the chat and be like, fuck you, you're banned, you're a dunce. It's definitely, there's some entertainment value in that, but I do try. I mean, if someone's watching our content, let alone paying us fucking money to say something, I'm gonna, respect you and try to engage with you in good faith. And, I really do value your guys' opinions. So I think you're probably right about that, JFLO. Really appreciate the super chat.
Yeah, I mean, we try our best. Sometimes I don't succeed. Sometimes we'll get a super chat from somebody and I'm like, all right, I'm triggered. I'm gonna go for this. I'm sorry in advance. But for the most part, yeah, we try and be, as gracious as can be, because we're just so fortunate that people actually give a shit and, tune in and listen, and that we can do this for a job.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for the super chat. And yes, we saw the RBN video. We addressed it on yesterday's stream at the beginning. It's very stupid, very stupid. Shout out to you, Kevin, for the $1.99.
Oh, also, actually, because we did get a chat about that, I just have to throw this up on screen because I thought this was fucking hilarious. So just in case, like, whatever, the RBN video, it's fine. They were allowed to have whatever opinions they want about the Vanguard. I just thought it was absolutely hilarious that, let me throw this tweet up on screen. They don't even write their own headlines for this. They just, here, we'll put this up right here. So they just wait till Jimmy Dore tells them exactly what to say, right? So the progressives on the left who spend 8 hours a day whining about Jimmy Dore would have absolutely hated Malcolm X. Don't even pretend they wouldn't have. And then Jimmy Dore retweets it, and CJ's like, I'm going to use that to burn the Vanguard and win points with Jimmy.
Totally brain dead. Yeah, totally brain dead, unoriginal. And also just imagine being such a fucking narcissistic loser that you would retweet something like that. Oh, people that don't like me and mildly criticize me from time to time, they would have hated Malcolm X too. Like,
he literally
the
hubris to be a white man with $1 million fortune that has experienced like no suffering of a fucking systemic matter outside of, like, I apologize if Jimmy had a bad experience with American healthcare. That doesn't make you Malcolm X, right? Just the amount of like delusional self-importance that this guy subscribes to himself. Oh my gosh, it is insane that you would be a literal white man with a fucking massive house and compare yourself to Malcolm X. I can't fucking believe the audacity. Even for Jimmy, that's low.
No, it's disgusting. It's disgusting. And he's just such a fucking narcissist, Anyway, thanks for the super chat, Bruce. And shout out to you, Kevin. I swear I had an encounter with 3 in
3-inch gnome
One?
goblin. Gavin's gonna have you on the Vanguard. He
Oh,
wants to talk about
3-inch.
that.
I thought you were saying like 3-in-1 gnome goblin, something else. I see what you're saying. A 3-inch gnome goblin, bro. Come on the Vanguard. Share your story, please.
I'm
but
gonna
maybe
take
not
the day
if you.
off. I don't want to get whacked.
Yeah, we're gonna get fucking whacked. Yeah, that's. I mean, yeah. When it comes to supernatural stuff, I do like to entertain the supernatural ideas. I'm not gonna go so far as to say I actually like, you know, I don't know. I like talking about aliens and cryptids and all that good stuff. I try not to take things too seriously sometimes. I used to be such a skeptic and all this stuff, and to some extent I still am, but I don't know.
I was gonna say
It's
you've
harmless
really
fun.
softened on this over the course of the last 6 months. I noticed that the other day when I was debating you because I went from Gavin, religion is the poison that has fucking just destroyed the earth for generations, and you can't fucking change my. To now being like, well, man, actually the Bible's pretty leftist. You know what I mean? Jesus Christ was based commie. You know, I'm just like, wow, this is a fucking. And next we're gonna hear that the fucking Noah actually did get all of those animals on the ark, bro.
No. I still think organized religion is a cancer. I really do. I'm more talking about like people's personal experiences with spirituality and stuff. I think that I don't know. I understand it. Especially as people get older, I can understand it for sure.
Oh yeah, I'm not bemoaning it. I was that joke about the ark. I was just kidding.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like sometimes people take themselves so goddamn seriously. And I'm like, there is a lot of things that are unexplainable about the world we live in. Like no one
Take
has
a crack at it. I'll give you some answers.
No one has an explanation for human consciousness. We're the only animal species that has it. There's no scientific explanation for it. Scientists literally can't tell you when, why, and where it comes from. It's mysterious, dude. It is mysterious. It's fucking trippy to think about. And that's just one thing. I mean, even just the concept of the fucking endless universe. Like, what do you mean it's endless? Like, it doesn't end ever? Or like the Big Bang? Like, what happened before that? Like, where did all that shit come from?
You're barking
what I'm
up all the wrong trees, Gavin. Like I told you, I got all the answers for you. You're listening to all the liberal hogwash. The Earth is only a couple thousand years old, so you got way more to count for. God made it in 7 days. He took the 7th day for rest, so 6 days. Really, this guy was after it, right? And then he created all of us and you and me, and he bestowed upon you consciousness. No, I hear what you're saying. I just don't trouble myself with that shit. That's above my pay grade, right? Like, actually, the smartest thing I ever heard Joe Rogan say, this is the most relatable thing I ever heard Joe Rogan say, and I will attribute it to him because I did hear him say it. He was like, had this fucking, back when he would have like cool physicists on and people to talk about the universe, and just whatever crazy shit. And they would be like trying to explain something to him, and he'd be like, man, I think that trying to understand this is like an ant trying to figure out how to fly an airplane. Like, it's just not going to happen. No matter how smart that ant is, like, he's not going to understand how like fucking aerospace works. That dude's not doing advanced calculus. Like, you know what I mean? And he's like, that's like me trying to figure out like where the fuck the universe came.
That's kind of the point I'm making, though. It's like I just don't think I just think it's foolish to pretend to know in either direction. Like, I don't think any religion has it right. I think that anyone that claims to know the answers is full of shit, regardless of what religion you are. But I also think it's kind of equally dumb to be like I know the answers and it's all just easily explainable. It's not. Like, no one knows the answers. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I feel like that's just like your basic agnosticism, which I would honestly attribute to myself. Just like I am, like I would probably call myself like a soft agnostic, right? Like I don't think that there probably is anything, but fuck if I know it, and I'm probably not going to spend too much of my time figuring it out. You know what I mean? I'm not a seeker when it comes to that. Like, is there a God? Is there not one? Fuck if I care. I don't really know.
Yeah. I would definitely describe myself as an agnostic, and that's the main evolution I've experienced, is going from atheism to agnosticism. Like, I used to be very like, it's all bullshit. Any concept of spirituality is ridiculous, and it's for children essentially. And now I'm like, you know what? I don't know. You don't know. Nobody knows.
The elephant in the room is that we both had that experience after arguing with significant others that I believe were slightly more religious than us.
No, I've been on this track for a while. I have been.
I'm just saying, I had to soften my rhetoric when I started dating Talisa, because she was like, I'm Catholic, right? And I'd be like, I guess I shouldn't just make these like broad stroke declarations about people.
That is, I mean, there's probably some truth to that, because Yana is into like tarot and different stuff like that.
She's not Catholic, but you had to open your mind up to some other shit, to be like, hey, I respect people that think this.
For sure. Anyway, I just think it's like, Yeah, and I think the Diablo makes a good point here too. The problem with organized religion isn't the religion; it's the organization, for sure. Again, like I don't think any one religion has it all right or has all the ideas. I think anyone that claims that their special book has all the answers is pretty foolish. But there's nothing wrong with practicing whatever religion connects with you most. I think there is a lot of valuable teachings in any given religious, doctrine or text, whether it's the Bhagavad Gita or the Bible or, you know, whatever the fuck Buddhists read. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely agree with that, Diablo.
Yeah, not just Elisa coming in at like the worst time to bring me coffee and listening to me fucking gab about Catholicism on the air. Anyway, no, it's a very sophisticated approach to theology.
Anyway, shout out to you, Diablo. And holy shit, we've had such a great live stream. We thought we were going to be live for like 60 minutes or something. Like, oh, there's nothing to talk about today. But we had a awesome live stream. Ended up talking about fucking giants, the CIA, the supernatural, religion, the meaning of life. It was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is just one thing I want to end on. I want to just throw it back for a while and really show everybody how long it's been that we have been doing this show.
Oh God, here we go.
Let's see. Let's find a really good one. I'm trying to go back to like an iconic moment on the Vanguard. Let's see. Here, let's go back to. This is not the longest ago, but let's watch let's watch Vosh debating force the vote really quickly, and we'll just.
Oh God,
this guys. This is where this is when the show. One, holy shit, guys! Nobody just pulled me aside and said, "Hey, bro, shave that fucking beard off. Like, just get rid of that fucking beard." Like,
that did get a little over the top.
When I was during COVID, dude, I just was like, "How long can I grow this fucking beard?" And now I look at myself, I'm like, I look like a completely different person. Like, I was kickboxing right before COVID, and I like was hanging out with like all those like fucking hairy dudes, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll grow a fucking beard." And then, Jesus Christ. But anyway, it's going to be hilarious to just like watch this go down. We'll play it for like a couple minutes and then we'll get the hell out of here. Did you have any words of wisdom?
Oh no, I'm just reveling at your beard appearance on Crystal, Kyle, and
that's a good one. Yeah, Gavin and I tuned into that on our nice Odyssey home yesterday. It was a good podcast. I highly recommend everybody tune into the whole thing. But we're going to cover the highlights.
Despite the fact that I have a lot of pretty vehement disagreements with Vosh, I did find it to be overall a fairly productive and necessary exchange. Definitely some criticisms of both Vosh's responses and also Kyle and Crystal's administration of the interview. But like you said, we'll get into that. Take a look at some of the highlights. There's a few moments that
the right always falls in line. Anyway, it's so obvious, and it's so.
I actually was a supporter. The force the vote strategy would work. Not really.
Just skipping around and just basking and just woof, how time flies, man. Absolutely insane. It's funny because I remember we were actually driving back from Colorado, right, Gavin, when we listened to this, and then we immediately got back. I dropped you off at your crib and I drove home to my apartment because that was how we were recording at the time. And then we immediately got after this shit. I remember sitting in the car and listening to the KK episode and just like, shouting at each other basically as we like agonize through it.
Yes. What a throwback. It's crazy that was what, like almost 2 years ago or over 2 years ago, maybe. Wild.
Yeah, crazy. Absolutely crazy. But anyway, shout out to everybody. Shout out to everybody keeping it with us. The show's grown. We've changed. I like to think that we're way better commentators now. I think we're really engaging on the microphone, and we have a presence, and we understand dead air time, and we can engage and keep up with you guys really well. And also, we're just getting way better at stretching these podcasts and doing more long form content, which I would like to hear from this audience a little bit on. If you guys ever have any thoughts on it. Do you like the longer episodes? Do you miss when it was more snappy, just get in and get out kind of deal? Because we kind of like hanging. I like bullshitting with the chat a lot. I like hanging out. My goal for this year is that Gavin and I can get like a 3.5-4 hour stream down, just like really get it in. And
I think it's possible, dude. Especially if we have some guests on and kind of do it that way, so we can have on some other people to break up the amount of speaking that we have to do. That always helps go for longer too. If there's a third person that wants to talk also, then that's just less time for us to talk, so that makes it longer too. Either way, I think it's certainly possible.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of good shit for us to just forge ahead with over the course of this year. We're super excited to do so. And thanks everybody for tuning in today. Thank you for all the birthday wishes. Thank you for all the kind words about our show. We really are like so lucky to be able to do this. You know what I mean? And it's such a thrill. It's such a weird thing. I was talking about pump up the volume the other day, and it's just like that feels like what we're doing, right? Like we have a little pirate radio show, and
Yep.
we're not ambitious, we don't need much, so we're super stoked about the way that this has worked out, and we want to obviously keep growing our community, doing good content for you guys, but we're very happy with how this whole thing's worked out.
100%. Also, I want to say shout out to you, Helena. I just saw your question. Kevin's going to come out as UU in a couple months. I'm pretty sure you're referring to the Universalist Unitarians, which is funny because I actually attended the UU church when I was a kid. My parents would take my sister and I to their Sunday morning services. And if you guys aren't familiar, Universalist Unitarians, it's kind of like I would describe it as a non-secular religion. It's basically just like a community where, you get together and you discuss spirituality and morals and ethics and all that stuff. It's literally religion without religion.
Is that what Mariah's mom does?
I think what Mariah's mom does is it's similar. It's very similar.
I think
what
what Marianne Williamson does too.
Yeah. Basically that ilk, very hippie-ish. What Mariah's mom does is slightly different. That's the Unity, which is related, but I think slightly different. I'm not an expert in this stuff, but it's usually a great community of people. If you have like a Unitarian church in your area, a lot of very liberal crowd, of course, very hippie vibes. But yeah, that's funny that you would say that, Helena, because I used to attend a UU church when I was a kid, and at the time I didn't give a fuck about what they were talking about. I was just bored and wanted to go home because I was like, why are we here? I don't care about any of this. But in retrospect, it was a very nice community of free thinkers and welcoming, tolerant people. So yeah, shout out to the Unitarians. They're pretty lit. And shout out to you, Cassandra. Really appreciate the $5. I love the long episodes. Happy birthday, Zach. Proud of you guys. I love you both. Thanks for chilling with us. Yeah, we love the long episodes too. As Zach said, really enjoying doing these marathon streams where we kind of just hang out and talk shit and engage with the chat. Such a fun time. Such a great outlet. Really appreciate you guys for tuning in. And thank you so much for the super chat, Cassandra.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to you, Cassandra. We love all of you guys. Thank you so much for the birthday wishes. And to respond quickly to the chat that was wondering why I was lifting up my shirt, I spilled so much hot coffee on myself that I was literally just considering ripping off my shirt on air, but I tried to play it cool. Yeah, I'm cool now. I'm like, but it was like, Salisa was goodly enough to bring me a hot pot of coffee, and I was pouring it, and I accidentally was watching the screen and not like fucking pouring it. Now you guys can see there was so much coffee that just went all over myself. So
happy birthday, bro. Spills
yeah,
coffee.
Exactly. I was like, fucking happy birthday to me. I didn't even have to make my own coffee. Let me find a different way to fuck this up. No. Anyway, shout out to everybody for tuning in today. And we have a show tomorrow, right? Is Ron coming on tomorrow, Gavin?
I think he is actually. We're going to be chatting with Ron Placone tomorrow. So make sure to tune in for that, you guys. Hit that notification bell if you haven't already so you don't miss the next show. I always love chatting with Ron. And yeah, everyone, make sure to hit that like button on your way out. Feel free to follow us on Twitter too. I don't plug that enough, but the link's in the description for our Twitter. Hit that up. Some people say that they don't get notifications from YouTube when we go live, but if you follow us on Twitter, we always post when we're live. We say we are live with a link. So that's another good way to make sure you don't miss our content. And thanks everyone for tuning in.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate everybody. Shout out to the patrons. I don't know if we did that already. Did we do that already?
No.
Right here. Shout out to the comrades, Vanguardians, Super Vanguardians, you lovely people to keep the lights on at the Casa del Vanguard. We really appreciate you all. If you're not able to financially support the show, we still love you and appreciate you and value you. You're all comrades to us. Just hit that like and subscribe button. But if you have the means and the desire to, kick us a couple bucks. Goes a long way, helps us stay sustainable, helps us, get back to accomplishing some of our more costly goals that you guys were chatting with us about yesterday. But Gavin and I, we're happy and, grateful for the fact that we get to do the show at all. Really love you guys. Really appreciate the opportunity to do this. And, also before I got out of here, wanted to give a big shout out to Mac, good politic guy, picked up by the Breaking Points team. I think he's going to be a producer over there. I remember a while ago they put out like a big thing where they were like looking to hire some people. So fucking congratulations to that guy if he for figuring out getting that position. I think he mentioned he was moving to DC, so I think he was in their studio in their big announcement video. So what a fucking thrill! Super proud of that guy. That guy's a guy that put his fucking nose to the ground, made real like news YouTube videos, said fuck the algorithm, I'm going to make the content that I believe in and keep soldiering away, and he did, and now he's got a big break. So shout out to Mac, and I'm not sure who Griffin Davis is, but shout out to that guy too. I'm excited to see what kind of role they have over at Breaking Points.
Yeah, shout out to Mac. Great commentator, really nice person, really genuine guy. Just huge shout out to Mac. So thrilled to see him succeeding, and I'm excited to see what the future holds for the Breaking Points network. It's really cool to see them evolving. And yeah, I'm also not familiar with Griffin Davis. He might just be a behind the scenes kind of guy. Either way, yeah, I love him too. And then you got banned. Oh, that sucks. I'm sorry, Cassandra. Anyway, yeah, shout out to Mac. Massive respect. And thank you guys all so much for tuning in today. Really appreciated chatting with you all. And happy birthday, Zach.
Thanks, guys. Peace out. We'll be back tomorrow. See you all later.
Peace.